is that in all likelihood, the Fed's not going to cut rates in the near term.
Bill Hemmer is co-anchor of America's Newsroom, weekday mornings, 9 to 11 Eastern on the Fox News Channel.
I'm on record. I'll be honest with you. I said months ago that they're not going to cut rates this entire year.
They want to do several this year.
Yeah, and I'm thinking now, I'm no economist, but, we got used to cheap money. When interest rates were at 3%, even a little bit below 3%, that's historically low numbers.
I refinanced my house around that.
Yeah, I think people came to expect that low rate. And, you get the average range about 4 or 5%. I think we're closer to about 5% right now. So I think it's going to be really tricky for them to do it. The other thing I would look out for is, you got Biden out there saying that Trump's a threat to democracy. And you had Trump in Georgia yesterday, and you had Eric Trump on Fox and Friends saying, how come my dad, I'm imitating him, be a threat to democracy when we got war in the Middle East, when we got war in Ukraine? What's the threat to democracy? And that's the moment they're going to ride for the next 7 months. But watch this summer to see whether or not you get a split screen on gas prices. If we go to $4 for most of America,
we're only $3.60 now.
Here's the point. If you're at $4 this summer and Trump's out there saying, I was at $1.79 or $1.89 or $1.99, that is a very interesting comparison and split screen that I think applies practically to every American.
The president has said over and over again, he's had record job creation. Unemployment historically low, under 4%. Inflation has come down, but he gets low marks on his handling of the economy. Over and over and over again, he can't seem to convince Americans that things are better. He thinks they are better, but he just can't convince people.
In a broad sense, you've heard that they don't talk about Bidenomics anymore. There's a reason for that.
That's not a...
Okay, so they don't want to touch that. Some of these surveys will show that a lot of Americans feel good about themselves, and a lot of Americans feel good about their community or even their state, but they don't feel good about the rest of the country. And I don't know if I can recall a time where the data suggested that. I don't know what that means in the end. You feel good about yourself, but not about everything else. Maybe these are headwinds from some of the bigger stories that are happening around the world. An unsettled planet, I would argue, over the past couple of years with Ukraine and now with Gaza.
Yeah, and with Gaza. You bring up people feeling good, yet concerned. Reagan famously asked Carter, in the debate with Carter, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? That's being talked about now. But Democrats will say, well, wait a minute. Do you want 4 more years of Trump? Because they'll bring up, chaos that he had and, all the tweets he used to do. And they think he's going to come back and go after people who've been going after him in his legal cases. I mean, it's interesting because we have a very unusual case. We're not turning the page to somebody new from President Biden if we vote him out of office. We're going back to the guy who was in office before him. Hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah, the president did a rare interview this week. He did it with Univision, and he talked about Trump destroying democracy and eviscerating the Constitution. I believe that progressives and a lot of Democrats probably believe that.
They're afraid of him.
I don't believe that most Republicans and even the majority of independents do believe that. I don't believe they do. What I find on the inside for some of the polling and what I call the Magnificent Seven, in these polls, they've been somewhat consistent for the past month and a half or 2 months, and that shows Donald Trump with a slight lead. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that holds throughout the summer. Yes.
I think some polls have given President Biden a little edge there.
I've seen a little bit of movement in the last 5 or 6 days, and we'll see whether it lasts. But I think if you're riding the poll numbers now, I think you're looking at the wrong thing. There's so much that can change.
Polls are also unusual, Bill.
I don't know how Republicans go after this early voting issue, but they've made it pretty clear that they're gonna talk about it now, and I don't know how that translates. But look, it's April.
You mean do more to get early voting, encourage their people to because
to bank the vote.
Because 4 years ago that was a big thing. Republicans didn't want to do that, but I think a lot of Republicans, well, we have to play the same game as Democrats in order to beat them.
Listen, I think they're fools if they don't play by the current state laws in these key battlegrounds.
Whether it's mail-in or whatever.
Whatever the rules are, you have to push for it. Otherwise, you're just going to keep losing, period.
And the polls are also interesting. There's a Fox poll that has former President Trump ahead of President Biden among voters under 30 by almost 20 points. There's another poll by Quinnipiac that has just the opposite, where Biden's ahead of Trump by
another good reason not to pay attention to.
So I don't know, but
I do trust our polling, however. Go ahead.
If our polling is accurate, where the former president leads with young voters, that's not something Republicans have done traditionally. The former president has, in some polls, appeared to have some more support among Black Americans or Hispanics, too. So maybe he's making some inroads that will really help in November.
Could be, and maybe that's a reflection of how people feel about the economy again. I thought there was a really interesting piece. I read it about a week ago. It was in the Financial Times. And they looked at all the waves of immigration that have come into the United States, going back to the 1800s now. And he made a very interesting point that maybe is applying right now, whether it's African Americans, if the support is real now. If it is, by the way, it's, Georgia's gone. Joe Biden does not have a shot of winning Georgia if those numbers are legit. They talked about Hispanics in America, and where the generations change and they grow more conservative. I don't know if he's right, but he made a very interesting point.
Now we have a president in Joe Biden who Republicans blame for the border situation, illegal immigration. He might do an executive order at some point to try to stem the tide. That issue is going to be an issue, it seems like, all the way into November. How many people do you think will vote on that issue?
I think a lot. I got to tell you, I think this issue really, it came out of nowhere. And immigration especially, it just spread all over the country. And I think a lot of people think about it right now. Whether or not, you're going to have an open line. Because in a lot of ways, we look at our live shots down there, and it's not a border. It's not even a fence. It's just people crossing. And we had a fellow on this week from San Diego. He's a county executive down there, and he said the intent now, because the laws are the way they are, is that those crossing the border would see the Border Patrol and run the other way. Now they see the Border Patrol and they run to them. The reason you do that is because you want to be apprehended, you get your court day that comes 5 years from now.
And you're just let in.
Now you're in the country. So, what Abbott did in Texas, like it or not, what DeSantis did in Florida, like it or not, it grabbed headlines. And there's still a lot of programs now where they're flying a lot of migrants into the country. We report on it. A lot of others don't. It's really popping up there on the issue scale for immigration among Americans and what they think we can do. When Trump was talking about that wall in 2016, a lot of people thought he was nuts.
Yeah. And, well,
a lot of
mocking him, Mexico's going to pay for it.
A lot of Republicans, they were thinking he was nuts. And now it's become it's become an acceptable argument, where in 2016 and 17, frankly, it wasn't.
In 2016 and in 2020, we didn't have abortion to the degree we have it now. It's the number one issue for Democrats. Arizona this week, you mentioned it, is a state that's a battleground state. Arizona this week, the Supreme Court there upholds a law from 160 years ago.
1864.
Banning almost all abortions, even in cases of rape and incest. Even Republicans want that law off the books. Can Democrats overcome the Biden economic issues, the border issues, and win on that issue?
They might. I don't know, and I think it's like sports. It's why you play the games. It's why you vote, and it's why you hold elections. I think it's going to be a very interesting thing to watch, and we'll see. If it will pull out voters. I just don't know how many, and I don't know how it's offset by where inflation is then, where the economy is then, and where immigration is then. I don't know.
But former President Trump has had struggles in the polling with, say, suburban white women, right? Mm-hmm. You've seen that. You do with election night coverage. You go up county by county on that map. There are some voter blocks that are difficult for him. Does that make it harder for him, the abortion issue with some women voters?
It could, and again, that's why they vote. There are 7 counties that surround Pittsburgh, Allegheny County. They're not all suburban. They tend to be rural also. They tend to offset the vote inside Pittsburgh. They can. It's possible. There are 4 counties that surround Philadelphia. The city of Philadelphia goes big for Democrats.
Sure.
You know, and maybe those other 4 offset that. I don't know. But if we find what I saw in 2016, and I still think it's the case today, like Northeastern Ohio is my state. That's where I'm from. And when I saw these counties in Northeastern Ohio flipping red in 2016, I said, man, he's got a chance. Mm-hmm. Those people haven't changed. They're still there, and we're about to find out whether or not they come out in bigger numbers than before.
We're about 30 weeks away from it all. We have a lot of time, and who knows what will come up until then. Bill Hemmer, co-anchor of America's Newsroom, 9 to 11, Monday through Friday on the Fox News Channel. Great to talk to you. Thank you.
Dave, nice to be with you.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
Sneezing, coughing, stuffy nose, runny nose, post-nasal drip, interrupted sleeping. I was groggy at the end of the day.
Allergies and sinus congestion were making Jana miserable. Then, a friend recommended Navage. Navage provides immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Navage helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
Navage gave me instant relief. I didn't have to wait 30 minutes. I didn't have to wait an hour, 90 minutes. I didn't have to wait a minute. I ran the rinse and I felt better.
Stop suffering from congestion and start breathing and feeling your best again with Navage. Navage.
I've had people ask me how I find relief, and I tell them Navage immediately. This thing is amazing.
Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
The Vic Borselli Show.
So the left says Donald Trump's a terrible person. He was a terrible president. Well, Dr. Sheldon Roth thinks Donald Trump is just fine. We'll talk to Dr. Roth Thursday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Caring for a loved one is stressful. It's an emotional time, and we want our loved ones to get the quality of care they deserve. But the cost of long-term care is expensive. In the St. Louis area, it could be $60,000, $70,000, or even over $100,000. Can your savings handle this added expense? Fortunately, News Talk STL listeners have an expert right here. Financial strategist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management shows families tax-efficient strategies to fund care needs. Whether planning in advance, have health concerns, or living in a care community today, solutions exist to fund the quality of care you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Visit SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Alphi LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be Shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit connorroofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
The team that brought conservative talk radio to St. Louis is back. This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. Mike Ferguson, Tim Jones, Dan Bongino, Tony Colombo, Vic Porcelli, Katie Fitzpatrick, Chris Arce, Ken Williams, Larry Connors, Gabe Pfeiffer, Joe Pags, Randy Tobler, Ben Shapiro. Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Were abuse allegations overlooked?
They couldn't imagine a father abusing his sons.
Was their fate already sealed?
I said, oh my God, this is rigged.
And is there a case now to set the Menendez brothers free? The Menendez brothers, victims or villains, streaming now on Fox Nation.
Providing a full picture of the news. You're listening to the Fox News Rundown. More up next.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
You think a Band-Aid will help you? Now there's where they might have forever-lasting chemicals that could harm you.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hey News Talk STL family, this is Marissa Jones with Jones Air and Water. I am so excited to announce our newest addition to our services, nutrition and wellness coaching. If you are looking to lose weight, increase energy, get rid of those headaches, balance your hormones, or simply find a healthy balance in your lifestyle, give me a call today. Mention News Talk STL and receive 10% off any nutritional service. Call us at 636-899-1040. That's 636-899-1040.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, did you just have your house painted? Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, no, it's actually Rhino Shield.
877-25rhino.com.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo from my friends at A+ Plumbing and Drain, and they truly are our friends because they have done it all at our house over the years, from putting in a new faucet to installing a whole new bathroom from scratch. The team at A+ has always done great work for a great price. A+ Plumbing and Drain is a local, family-owned business that can take care of all your plumbing needs and specializes in new construction and home renovation. Call A+ for your next project at 636-288-7126 or through Facebook at A+ Plumbing and Drain.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. Car Shield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. On this Thursday, the essential question President Biden refuses to answer is why he will not close the southern border in the face of so much death and suffering. Why won't he issue an executive order suspending asylum claims until the USA can reorganize its immigration strategy and regulations? There is only one answer. Joe Biden doesn't care enough to do that. Sure, he can and does make excuses for the border, but he really isn't all that concerned about 10 million migrants and a record amount of narcotics flowing into America on his watch. Mr. Biden is not alone in his appalling apathy. Andrew Jackson, for example, and a number of other presidents held slaves, not caring a whit about them. Jackson was particularly brutal towards Native Americans as well. Franklin Roosevelt could have bombed the railway tracks to Auschwitz when he knew Jews were being incinerated there. He didn't care enough to do it. Lyndon Johnson allowed the Vietnam War to rage out of control, understanding he was not protecting American troops as well as he could have. He basically ignored the death and destruction for 5 years. President James Buchanan knew Union troops needed food and ammunition at Fort Sumter in South Carolina. He refused to send supplies to them because he feared he would be blamed for the Civil War. So, presidents don't care about a lot of stuff, and Joe Biden leads the league. Back after this. You can now watch new episodes of the No Spin News live on Samsung TV Plus. Tune in each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV for breaking news, honest analysis, and the best election coverage in America. Please join me, Bill O'Reilly, at the First TV, now available on Samsung TV Plus. Start watching today on your Samsung television, Galaxy devices, or the Samsung TV Plus mobile app. Check out the No Spin News each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV, Samsung TV Plus. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Rain chances fade quickly through the morning, even some breaks in the clouds midday, but an isolated shower or two can't be ruled out this afternoon and this evening. Not many, though. I expect highs in the mid-60s this afternoon, and it's breezy. Some gusts in excess of 30 miles per hour. Dry tonight, skies clear out, down to 46 for the low. Friday's breezy, but otherwise fantastic. Full sunshine tomorrow, up to 67 in the afternoon. And here come the 80s this weekend, noticeably warmer. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
In school sports, it's easy to see the wins, the moments that make headlines. But there's so much work that goes unseen for any of it to happen. My name is Phil Risen, and I'm the Executive Director of the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association. Throughout the country, athletic administrators dedicate countless hours to making life-changing opportunities possible for student athletes through sports. Their sacrifice is fueled by the belief that every student can grow and deserves their time to shine. On behalf of the NIAAA, we want to thank every athletic administrator for your tireless dedication to providing 7.8 million students across the country a path to a better future.
This message presented by the NIAAA, the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Something we mentioned a little bit earlier this week, and I think it was in the newscast, I think it was in the morning news dump, had to do with left-wing policies, pro-criminal policies, letting a suspected cop killer go free because of elements of the Safety Act. Yeah, that's what you get in Illinois when leftists run your government. Listen to all of our friends and everybody in Illinois who's part of the News Talk STL family. You know what I'm talking about here. And a little bit later on today, we've got an update on the battle against that and against so many other left-wing policies in the state of Illinois, because what's happening in Illinois could influence other states. And right now, Illinois' left-wing government is just a warning to other states. Hey, good morning. I'm Mike Ferguson. On the Missouri side of the state line, it's been really kind of interesting. I'm tempted to say disheartening, but at least very interesting to watch the battle over school choice, because the momentum is on empowering parents. The momentum is on letting families educate their kids the way they want instead of the way the state insists on this. And now we've got activists who are either claiming to be conservative or maybe who are conservative who are falling for the argument that school choice somehow is no longer conservative. State Representative Ben Baker had some interesting things to say about that on social media, so I invited him on the show to talk about it, and he made a lot of great points, and here's what he had to say. School choice is one that we used to think, well, all conservatives are on board with this. And now we've got people arguing that conservatives should be opposing the school choice bill. Can you make this make sense for me?
It's been crazy. And I mean, it's fear mongering at the very least. But so just a little background. I mean, for the first 4 years in the legislature, I've been advocating for good conservative education reform. This goes way back before I was ever elected. I mean, my parents raised 7 kids. I was the oldest of those 7 kids. My parents were middle-class, hardworking people and made great sacrifices for all of us to go to a good private Christian school. There was nothing available at that time where I grew up when it comes to school choice options, the money following the child, which is what I believe inherently we should do with our taxpayer dollars when it comes to education. And so this is something I've advocated for years. And for 4 years in the legislature, we advocated for this, and it was always an uphill battle. You're fighting the Democrats, of course. You're fighting one of the most powerful lobbies in the state with all the education unions like the NEA and the MSTA and all the alphabet organizations. You're fighting moderate Republicans that, many of them were former public school educators, and they don't want school choice because, well, it's a money issue for them. They claim that public schools is going to lose money. But in the last 2 years, there's a new group of lobbyists, and I use that term lightly. They're opposing school choice, claiming to be the Republican conservative position, which is, obviously completely ignoring the fact that school choice and parental rights have been a pillar of the Republican Party platform for most of my lifetime. And they're also heavily funding campaigns to get people in the legislature that they can control as well. And it's the craziest thing I've seen in 6 years. They never opposed the ESA bill we passed 2 years ago. But all of a sudden activating this front of opposition, and I believe they've tried to come up with a new tactic. And this particular group is also, if you look into it, funded by a wealthy individual that was a public school board president in Missouri, actually lost their race in the election last week, by the way, and also has a green energy curriculum company, believe it or not. But then trying to claim that they're conservative. So they've tried everything. They're claiming school choice is welfare for the wealthy, to school choice is somehow tied into the New World Order and globalism, to now claiming in the last few days, it's like they're getting more desperate, now claiming that it will provide some loophole for the government to take guns from homeschool families, which is just insane. I'm a homeschool dad, and believe me, nobody's going to watch what's happening with our statutes any more than I am. and make sure that we're strengthening our rights, not weakening them. So it's like this. It's like they sat down and said, okay, hey, what are the worst fears of the most conservative members in the legislature? And then, okay, let's list those. Okay, now let's find a way to somehow link education reform to those fears. But I think it's backfiring. The problem is that these people have lost all influence with legislators because they're so dishonest, and they will viciously publicly attack the most conservative members like myself and others who consistently have been conservative and have a record to prove it, and then try to call them names, gaslight them, and claim they're the ones shilling for liberal causes. They've literally become known in the legislature as the Westboro Baptist of the lobby.
Oh, ouch.
Wow.
that hurts.
So,
Gail Griswold's not going to, oh, no, I'm sorry, I shouldn't put their name, but somebody named Gail Griswold's not going to like that reference.
So here's the other thing. They're claiming that they're superior in their intellect and understanding of legislation, and that none of us are capable of carefully vetting the language. I literally had one of them tell me to my face that they have a supernatural ability to read bills, that God gave them the ability to quickly ascertain legal language. And so they're like, no, really, listen to me. I have this ability to read. And I'm just like, I can't believe what I'm hearing right now. So it's just crazy what we're dealing with. So it's, you're fighting everyone, trying to chip away at education reform.
Morning Man, Gabe Pfeiffer here. So you just messed me up with that one because I mean, you mentioned the whole association with the Westboro Baptist Church, but the supernatural ability to read bills is a new one for me. And I was like, that makes it even worse than I thought it was. Now you mentioned also that they were not gaining any traction, that is backfiring against them. So is this ultimately going to have any effect on how the legislation proceeds?
Well, I do have a concern that, it's the margin is so slim when it comes to education reform. The ESC bill that we passed a couple of years ago had 82 votes. It takes 82 to get anything done. So I think they know that if they can peel off a handful of votes with fear mongering, then effectively they have been successful. But I think there are a lot of us who are trying to reset this narrative and say, no, this isn't true. You had even Congressman Burleson, who's a good friend of mine. My wife works for him in our area of the state, and he was tweeting about it this morning, saying this is ridiculous, especially this most recent accusation with and fear with the gun issue. And so, again, I think there are people that have a lot of respect that are stepping up and saying no.
Yeah, that's
not the truth.
Yeah, and regarding the gun thing, Chris and Aaron Dorr from the Missouri Firearms Coalition, American Firearms Association, I don't know that they're getting involved in the school choice thing, but they put out a statement saying, we've looked at the legislation. It does not threaten your Second Amendment rights. If it did, we would be a force in there dealing with it. But they've just said, listen, you brought up the gun thing. Here's the reality of the gun thing. So that's not something that's real, but I like that you're talking about the tactics and the fear mongering that's being used, because to some degree, if it's not changing people's mind, it's putting enough doubt in. And I think that's where they're trying to drive in the wedge. We saw all sorts of just flat out dishonesty. People like at the caucuses, the Republicans, the conservatives voted to eliminate the school choice platform. What a great victory for conservatives. And none of that actually happened. And they're completely flipping the framing on this. So at this point, instead of trying to pass what I think, frankly, the school choice bill that's out there right now doesn't go anywhere near far enough. And it's frustrating to me that that's all that you can get right now. But what you've got here is even that little step, that little tiny chip into the establishment's monopoly, that's got people trying to get conservatives to doubt something that is a conservative value in and of itself. So real quick with a myth busting here, does this give the Department of Education and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education control over homeschools and make you report to the state and treat homeschool families the same way as others? Does that increase the power of the state over homeschools, and does it increase the power of the state over private schools?
No, it does not. And if it did, I wouldn't support it. And the thing is with that, look, I want to neuter DESE as well. That's something that this narrative is now like we have to deal with DESE before we can do school choice. Well, no, we can do both at the same time. And there are too many kids stuck in failing schools right now to say, let's just kick the can down the road and, reform public education first. Well, that's an even more difficult thing to do because of what? Consensus is something that I think many times they don't understand. But no, it doesn't. And again, as a homeschool dad, many of us that are fighting for this issue either send our kids to private Christian school or homeschool our kids. And we are watching this very carefully because it matters to us. So no, the fears are unfounded. And it's something that we've got to get the message out about. So I've been trying to do that in every way that I possibly can.
Good morning, Ben. Stal Ponticus here. A comment and question from a listener. I think someone who was expecting to see more homeschooling mentioned in the bill. They've read the 147 some pages, and only 2+ pages they mention saying anything about homeschooling. Any thoughts about that from your perspective?
Yeah, well, really, I mean, it's not necessarily as much as how often it's mentioned. Sometimes it's how least it's mentioned as far as that goes when it comes to the bill. And, I know they've said this is an omnibus bill. It does have several pieces to it. But half of that bill is current statute. Not all of those 140-some pages is new statute going into law. And that's something that a lot of times people don't understand. It's easy to create this fear factor of, well, it's a big bill, so that means it's a bad bill. Well, not always. And in this case, yeah, there's several pieces to it. But the biggest part of it is it does have an incremental piece that is education reform and opens up more options for families to do this. And I will mention, too, that if fully implemented, it's only, I think, 0.75 of 1% of the education funding in this state. People act like it's going to be pulling all this money from public education, but that's the actual number to it. So, they have, I think, been very responsible with protecting the rights of homeschoolers. And the bottom line is it's still a choice. You don't have to do this. No one has to opt in to take an ESA. If you have concerns about it, then you have the right to say, no, I don't want to because I have concerns. So it all comes down to that.
We're visiting with State Representative Ben Baker. Just got a minute or so left here. Let me go back to the fact that, yes, we know Democrats are going to be against this. They're beholden to the teachers' unions. They're beholden to the establishment. But when it comes to trying to negotiate a deal, because there was more money put into public schools as part of the negotiations on this, and you're making deals with other Republicans, what is wrong with so much of the Republican caucus right now that they're not willing to stand, strong on this? I mean, the education establishment's never going to back a conservative. They're generally never going to back a Republican. You've got nothing to lose by standing up for what voters put you in office for. So what is wrong with some of your colleagues?
It's one of those issues that has divided our caucus because you have a lot of rural Republicans that think, because their school district is the biggest employer in the area, they think it's going to cost them a race. But it's just simply not true. It doesn't happen that way. The superintendents don't have the power and the sway with voters that many times people think that they do. And I've heard some of them say that, I agree with the principle of this, but I think it would cost me a race. And I'm like, look, I don't care if it costs me a race. Kids are failing and they have no other options. And so if this is the issue that I go down with, then so be it. But it isn't, and I have a lot of people that want more options for school choice. So that's just one of those issues that it has divided our caucus. I think we have a growing number that is in support, but we'll see how it goes moving forward.
Your first morning news dump of the day coming your way here in just a couple of minutes right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Freedom isn't just a word. It should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from a Bill of Rights for parents to government transparency, school report cards, healthcare reform, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams, parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable, final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
The Democrat Party is going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Kira Davis, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
I know there are more important things news-wise in the world, but I really got something to say about that Cardinals game here in a minute.
I kind of figured that.
All right, Missouri lawmakers close to cutting off taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood. I think they actually mean it. You know, this isn't just the virtue signaling. I think they're going to do it.
Good.
Until the courts overturn it, which they shouldn't, but they probably will. Josh Hawley, not impressed with the arguments made by the Code Pink philosophers. Yeah, imagine that. And the Cardinals give away the game and give away the series win to the Phillies. I was there.
Yeah, that's what made it worse for you. You were there.
I was there. I was watching it. Good thing I had my blood pressure medicine that day. Just saying. All right, 5:52. All right, a lot going on here. Let's get right to it. Let's start in Washington, D.C. Several Republican-led House committees now threatening to hold U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. This is after the DOJ continues to refuse to hand over former special counsel Robert Hur's recorded interview with President Biden. And that interview was about the past handling of classified documents, that whole thing. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan was on Hannity last night on Fox, says they've still got a lot of question over not just Hur's finding in the investigation, but also what the president said.
He knew the facts, he disclosed it, and he kept that information, but he doesn't get charged because Robert Hur says he's a forgetful old man. So we think it's incumbent upon the Justice Department to give us all that evidence.
Justice Department says they can't turn over the audio recordings because there are concerns the practice could make it harder for the department to get cooperation from defendants. Yeah, well, yesterday they were saying, well, you're going to use it for political purposes. And now they say, well, there's a legal reason. So they need to figure out their objection there. All right, the Missouri Senate, and we're going to talk about this a little more depth at 6:05 here. I'm curious what you think about it. Missouri Senate finally approves a bill that would cut off taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood. It's a step in the right direction. Democrats, of course, filibustered that for 11 hours, but the bill now goes to the state house, where I think it's going to pass. If passed, it will make Planned Parenthood ineligible for payments or reimbursements from the state's Medicaid system. And of course, Planned Parenthood says, we're not allowed to do abortions in Missouri, so you should be sending us the money because we do other stuff. And I'm gonna argue against that.
Besides the fact that they get multi-millions of dollars in donations every year.
Yep, exactly. That's part of the reason. Yep, exactly. Okay, well, the two leading presidential candidates, I guess nominee designates until they officially have their conventions, react to a state Supreme Court ruling that upholds an Arizona law banning most abortions.
President Biden called the Arizona Supreme Court's upholding of an 1864 abortion law extreme and dangerous, and told a White House press conference,
elect me. I'm in the 20th century, 21st century, not back then.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump said the Arizona law goes too far and called on state lawmakers to change it, even as he defended the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Greg Clugston, Washington.
All right. In other news here, Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley talks about a confrontation with protesters on Capitol Hill. They were targeting him over his support for Israel.
These are people who can't even admit that the Uyghurs are in internment camps, concentration camps, and yet they say that Israel is a terrorist state? Give me a break.
Yeah, Senator Hawley was on the Ingram Angle on Fox, and he says protesters are being funded by China. There is some evidence of that, although I don't know that it's conclusive. On Thursday was the second day in a row protesters came to the U.S. Capitol demanding the ceasefire because they appear to be pro-Hamas. About 50 were arrested Wednesday after causing a cafeteria in the building to be shut down. How did they get in those mass numbers in order to shut stuff down? That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. That's what I was wondering, too, when I saw the video.
What a joke. That's first thing I saw. I'm like, how in the world are they getting in there in those numbers? Are you serious? Don't stop insulting my intelligence on that. Come on. All right. Okay, a little crime story here in St. Louis. St. Louis police are investigating a business break-in that happened in South St. Louis City. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, why are you reporting on it? You never report on just like individual crimes, Mike. I get it. But it looks like this happened at the Donut Drive-In on Chippewa.
Oh, no.
Yeah, overnight hours, late Tuesday, early Wednesday morning. There weren't any donuts made at the time. It was before everybody got in for work, so the burglars left empty-handed. Now, listen, I'm not saying I'm condoning what happened. I'm not condoning the crime. I'm saying those are really good donuts.
Oh, yeah.
So I understand. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying as like Dave Chappelle said, I don't condone it, but I understand it.
That's the one right up the street from Ted Drew's.
Yes, exactly. I'm sorry. I think Chris Rock said that, not Dave Chappelle.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, right up the street there on Chippewa. Right across the street from one of the auto repair places we use sometimes.
Okay.
Oh, geez. All right. I'm just saying. I saw the report. I'm like, well, I get it. Those are really good donuts.
I'm sure the cops are thinking, yeah, I'd love to investigate a donut shop.
You went there. Stell went there. I didn't even go there. All right. The Blues beat the Blackhawks at Enterprise Center last night. Final score was 5-2. No game today. Blues host Carolina on Friday. Believe it or not, mathematically, Stell, the Blues technically still in the race for a wild card.
They're still in
spot
it
with 3 games to go.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Error that allowed 2 runs, a drop fly ball, and a base running mistake cost the Cardinals 2 runs, and those were the main reasons that the Redbirds lost to the Phillies at Busch on Wednesday. All 3 of those mistakes made by Victor Scott II. Final score was 4-3. Ivan Herrera and Brendan Donovan both had home runs.
Attention farmers. Is your material handling equipment coming up short in your operation? A JCB TM Series telescopic wheel loader from Sievers JCB can take your productivity to new heights. Bucket capacities range from 1 yard to 4 yards and lift heights up to 18 feet. Don't miss out on special short-term lease options and put JCB TM productivity to work on your farm for under $3,000 per month. To schedule your on-farm demo, call or visit SieversJCB.com today.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The Communist China threat will top the agenda when President Biden sits down today with the leaders of a couple of China's neighbors.
The president will meet with Philippines President Marcos at the White House before they join Japan's prime minister for a trilateral summit. Talks are expected to focus on Beijing's South China Sea incursions, with Beijing attempting to isolate Japan and the Philippines. A senior U.S. official says Mr. Biden is aiming to flip the script and isolate China.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. Milkshakes all around and some chicken as well. Former President Trump's gift to a large crowd gathered around him at a Chick-fil-A in Atlanta the other day. It was a warm welcome for Mr. Trump in that predominantly black neighborhood.
How you doing, Trump? I'm doing good. I love you, man. I love you.
Another person in the crowd telling the former president, quote, "I don't care what the media tells you, we support you." Mr. Trump gave that woman a hug before handing out 30 milkshakes. And the former president says the latest government report on inflation is troubling. He says it's the fruit of Bidenomics.
Biden has totally lost control of inflation. It's back. It's raging back. The number today was very high, very bad. It's actually much higher because they exclude various categories.
And Mr. Trump vowing to whip inflation and get the economy back on track should he win in November. A House committee hears from FBI Director Christopher Wray this afternoon, that hearing to focus on national security threats. A manhunt in Washington, D.C. Police searching for the gunman who opened fire on a crowd of people last evening. One person was killed, 5 others injured. And in Philadelphia, several people injured, 5 suspects under arrest following a mass shooting there. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures down 102 points. NASDAQ futures are off 33 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Has been confirmed. Those brave Americans who are trying to preserve free speech continue to be censored, shadow banned, or silenced. Wealth Protection Research is on a mission to share the liberating ideas of some of America's brightest and most free thinkers. People like Jim Rickards and Porter Stansberry, whose ideas are putting financial control back in the hands of everyday people, helping them protect their money against a government that seems intent on destroying it. Text TRUTH to 76626 to find out more. As this election moves forward, we just released a report that reveals our 3 favorite ideas for protecting and growing your wealth during the 2024 election. These ideas are especially critical if you have an IRA or 401k. Text TRUTH to 76626. Discover ideas that are so simple and actionable, they might save your retirement. Text TRUTH to 76626 now for your free report. That's TRUTH to 76626. Standard text and data rates may apply.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Rain chances fade quickly through the morning, even some breaks in the clouds midday, but an isolated shower or two can't be ruled out this afternoon and this evening. Not many, though. I expect highs in the mid-60s this afternoon, and it's breezy. Some gusts in excess of 30 miles per hour. Dry tonight, skies clear out, down to 46 for the low. Friday's breezy, but otherwise fantastic. Full sunshine tomorrow, up to 67 in the afternoon. And here come the 80s this weekend, noticeably warmer. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. Give Benjamin Schaefer a call at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Katie here, and I'd like to talk to you guys about Michael's Flooring Outlet. You could gain peace of mind with Michael's Flooring Outlet for your flooring and carpet installation needs. Their team of experts ensures that the job is done right the first time, providing you with attentive and a personalized service. Just like my parents, you can trust them to replace your old carpet with beautiful hardwood flooring. Visit one of their 3 locations in Dardenne Prairie, St. Peters, or Creve Coeur, or check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
The news and talk.
President Biden may change his policy toward Israel.
That matters to St. Louis.
Obviously, Netanyahu is sending a very firm message over the call.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I think it's purely politics.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Get up! Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, it looks like Missouri lawmakers very well could get one significant thing done. I'm still hopeful they'll get a few of them, but in a frustrating legislative session, they might actually cut off funds to Planned Parenthood in the state.
Like for real?
For real.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in just a second.
Thank God for small victories.
Yeah, still ahead here. Wokeness is never more than a press release away, even in a tragedy.
Yeah.
And listen, for those of you who watch us on Rumble, part of the News Talk family on Rumble called this over a week ago.
Oh, really?
Hear about the newest issue related to the fatal bridge collapse in Maryland. We'll do that at 6:20.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wokeness has infiltrated a disaster.
Yes, precisely.
As per usual.
Yeah. So 6:20. And for those of you on Rumble, if you're one of the regular folks who gets on there and talks and debates and stuff, which is fantastic, one of you called this. You said, watch, they're going to do this. They did.
Yep. There you go.
Please don't tell me the crash was racist.
The crash was not racist.
Okay. All right.
The crash itself was not racist.
I bet I can kind of predict it. It's like, end of the world is here. Blacks and women most affected.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that. Yeah.
So something like that. All right, we'll do that at 6:20 or so. Okay, so a lot to be frustrated with Missouri legislature this year, right? I mean, I think we all agree. The lawmakers tell us that as well. Now, specifically, there's a lot to be frustrated from Republicans in the Missouri legislature. But they are close to accomplishing something really good, and that's cutting off funding for Planned Parenthood that comes from your tax dollars. So I'm reading a couple articles on this. And by the way, one of the articles or one of the sources I go to, it's the Missouri Independent, which is at best center left coverage of the Capitol.
At best.
And, but they do cover things that others don't. You just have to filter through the bias. And I just went ahead and linked that in the show prep that I sent you guys.
Oh, cool.
I don't know how you pronounce her last name, but Anna Spore, I don't know how you say her name. She's the official Missouri Independent reproductive health care reporter.
They have a designated
That's actually her job.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
All right.
And so here's
talk to the abortion chick.
Right. So here's what it's at. The state House has the bill from Cody Smith. The state Senate has a bill from Mary Elizabeth Coleman, and they're basically identical. So the one in the Senate has passed. It's going to the House, which means all the House has to do is pass that bill, and it goes to the governor's desk. And so this would make Planned Parenthood ineligible for any payments or any reimbursements whatsoever from the state.
All right.
Because they are affiliated with an organization that provides abortion.
Yes.
Now, even though they're not allowed to do it in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
So the Democrats filibustered this for like 11 hours. of course.
Oh, of course they did.
Of course they did. And Mary Elizabeth Coleman, remember she was running for Congress, now she's running for Secretary of State, said that she hopes putting the bill into law will, quote, I'm quoting here, make it abundantly clear to the state of Missouri that people who are engaged in, are associated with, who are providing abortions in the state of Missouri shall be ineligible to be part of the Medicaid program. So it's not shutting them down. It's just saying taxpayers will not send you a penny. And of course, a lot of the Democrats and a lot of the apologists for Planned Parenthood are saying, you don't let us do abortions in Missouri, because believe me, they want to kill babies in Missouri.
Oh, sure do. Yep.
They're saying we just provide all these medical services now. We provide services for low-income people, everything from, STI testing and treatments and all this kind of stuff. And they're saying you're going to affect these. There's one state rep who says all it's doing is hurting the constituents because now we're taking away their medical care. Okay, well, here's why that's a crap argument. or do you want to jump in on why it's a crap argument?
Planned Parenthood doesn't provide medical care.
Yeah, they provide STI testing and things like that. But
I wouldn't even call that care.
But everything that Planned Parenthood does, other than abortions, everything, you can find somewhere else at any other clinic, and in more robust offerings.
Oh yeah.
So cutting off Planned Parenthood from state funding, this has nothing to do with your private insurance. If your private insurance is gonna pay for this or whatever the case is, then that doesn't change anything. It says that the state Medicaid funds, the tax dollars that you and I pay for, cannot go to this particular organization or any other like it that has an abortion side of their business.
Yeah, because everybody knows that money is fungible.
Yep.
So when you're providing money to the local Planned Parenthood, even though they don't directly provide abortions anymore because it's illegal in Missouri, that money can be used elsewhere, or perhaps like the national organization money that would otherwise be filling in here at in Missouri is being used elsewhere to actually provide abortions. So money is fungible. So if you're associated with an organization that does that, we should not be funding you. I don't even know how that was originally legal, but I'm glad they made it extra illegaler.
Well, but they've made it illegaler before, and the courts have stopped it.
Yeah.
And
so
they've ruled against the state before.
That's true.
So hopefully this one is crafted in a way that survives the inevitable court challenge.
Which I don't understand either, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, not one single person is going to lose access to any emergent or other health care by cutting off Planned Parenthood from taxpayer dollars. Not one. Planned Parenthood, they can still see people in their offices if they want. It's just taxpayers aren't going to pay for it.
Yep.
That's all it is. So nobody loses access. And if you end up going to another clinic somewhere, urgent care somewhere, whatever the case is, you're going to get the care anyway, and Medicaid will pay for that. So nobody's losing access to anything here. This is as much a moral decision as it is a policy decision. And hopefully they follow through, and I actually think they will. I got a feeling they actually will on this one.
Yay.
Yeah.
Finally.
Okay. Happy National Pet Day.
Yay.
Yay. Yep.
Everybody loves the little critters.
Everybody loves the critters, right?
Mhm.
So I sent Gabe a couple pictures of our cat, Rosie.
I will be posting those shortly.
Yeah, so you can do it on Facebook and on Twitter.
Mhm.
Okay, so here's what we do. Once those get posted here, what I'd love for you to do is just in the comments, you know what? Post a picture of your pet and introduce us. Because it's kind of funny, because we've got Rosie, her full name. I don't, Stella, have I ever told you her full name?
I think so.
Rosie has a full name.
Yeah, I think the middle name is the clincher.
Yeah, it's her real name. Her full name is Rosalita Butthead Ferguson.
Yes,
and it's funny because she's not as affectionate of like a cat, like my mom's cat, Punky. You sit down, that cat's climbing up in your lap and starting to purr,
like immediately.
Yeah, and then Punky will introduce herself to you. It's like, now that I've made you my best friend, by the way, my name's Punky. Rosie just kind of wants to hang out near you. She's not she doesn't hiss or bite or any. Well, she play bites, but she doesn't hiss. She's not a mean cat. She's okay just being near you.
She's standoffish.
Yeah, especially if she doesn't know you. But every once in a while, with me and Rachel, she becomes a lap cat. And it's kind of funny because this is the first house pet Rachel's ever had. She had a horse when she was a kid, but she's never had an actual house pet until Rosie. And at one point she mentioned, she's like, now I couldn't imagine our home without our pet, without Rosie. And they become such a part of the home. I kind of go back and forth on, are pets part of your family? Well, they're definitely part of the home. And other people are like, when people say, well, my pets are my kids, I'm like, no. But I get to where they are a big part of your home and a big part of your life. I mean, I play with Rosie every day, doing something with her, giving her scritches or, doing our little games where she's begging for treats and all this kind of stuff. So they are actually a big part of our lives. Yeah. And, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a net positive. And I think if you don't have a pet and you got the ability to care for one, think about it. Go to the shelter, get one.
And besides, when it comes to cats, they're not your pet. You are their servant.
That's right.
So
yes.
it's
pretty much.
It's like oh, I'm a pet dad to this cat. No. You are the extraneous human servant.
Right. You're the butler.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, I am the spare human servant because her primary human servant is Janet.
Right.
So she makes that distinction with who she likes to cuddle up to.
Yeah. See, Rachel and I would have rather had a dog, but with her travel schedule and my weird work schedule, there was just no way that was going to work.
They need a lot more attention.
They need more than we are able to provide. We're like, that's not fair to the dog. But cat, being fairly self-sufficient, that's fine. That's where we settled in.
Now, Stella, you got a dog.
We had
yes, that's
plenty
right.
of them over the years, but I didn't grow up with animals either in the house.
Oh, yeah.
So when we got married and we got Ambi, our first one, named after the band Ambrosia, back in 75.
Said by a true DJ.
Oh, my gosh. Yep.
And Ambi was a Beagle Shepherd mix. Oh. We're sitting in the car at a gas station outside Chicago, and the guy walks up to us with Ambi, who was maybe six weeks old at the time. Would you like to take a dog home with you? And Kathy looks at me, who's never had a dog. She grew up with shepherds all her life as a kid, and looks at me and says, well, what do you think? I don't know. Okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
And so it began.
And
we had numerous dogs over the years. And then we had a cat for 17 years. Never thought we'd have a cat, ever. And golly, Beauregard was awesome.
17 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Sir
awesome.
Beauregard.
Sir Beauregard.
Yeah.
Hey, were you the guy in the meme now that's been going around? It's like, okay, they've got a video of a guy like doting on a cat or like building something specific for a dog or making like, just going over the top in affection and all these stuff. And they're like, here is my dad who did not want a pet.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Was that you, Stel? You were like, when it came to the dogs and the cats and everything.
Not quite. Well, Bo, kind of like your cat, Mike, was a bit aloof at times. But very affectionate whenever he was in the mood for it.
Right.
Yep.
But I loved our dogs, and I did dote on them all the time. And
that was you.
Yeah. I'd walk them through the park and do all the typical stuff. But then we had an iguana and some rabbits because Kathy had them in her classroom at Miriam School.
Yeah. Okay.
And would bring them home during the summer. So now we've got an iguana in the house and 2 rabbits in the basement. And it wound up being a menagerie.
Yeah.
But
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was great. So as a kid growing up like Rachel, I never thought we'd have animals.
Now just keep in mind the menagerie is 2 or 3 steps away from Jumanji, so be careful.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, here is my pet rhino. Here you go, buddy.
All right, so
watch out for the horn.
Our Facebook and Twitter accounts. I don't think you can post a picture in the comments on Rumble. So
not in Rumble.
Yeah, Facebook and Twitter. We're going to have Rosie and Sassy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we'll
and
have
McDougal.
And McDougal.
We'll have all those pictures up there. Post the comments of yours. It's just hashtag National Pat Day and tag News Talk STL as well. Let's have some fun with it. Okay, how is racism a part of the bridge collapse in Maryland? And you may say, Mike, no, it's not. Racism had nothing to do with it. Well, that's true. But some activists are trying to make it a factor in the discussion as they try to move forward in Baltimore. We knew this was coming. We knew some form of this was coming. I'll tell you about it around 6:20 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
And all at once depart, no destination, making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin car. Get up.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store.
Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
Columbo and Katie.
Superintendent of the New Orleans Police Department was speaking to the media this week, and she said the rats are eating our marijuana. They're all high. The rats get in to the evidence rooms, and they get into the drugs.
And they toke it up. They roll themselves a bleezing.
I think they're eating it. I don't think if they're in there.
I think that they're rolling.
If they're in there with papers.
Weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. It's Ben Shapiro. Join me every weeknight for The Ben Shapiro Show. But right now, back to the Mike Ferguson Show on the new conservative voice of St. Louis, 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Well, I took a walk around the world to ease my trouble.
All right, guys, you knew this was coming. And actually, one of the News Talk STL family on Rumble, I think it was Blues Nut, but I'm not sure who it was, they called it over a week ago in the Rumble chat. Leftists are now demanding a new name for the bridge that was knocked into the water just outside Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, I'll give the details of that here in a second. By the way, tomorrow, Mike Ferguson in the Morning Flashback Friday. So give us your request for 80s bump music.
Got about 4 more yesterday.
Oh, good.
In the emails.
I think we should have at least one from Firehouse.
Okay.
Since CJ Snare passed away this past week, so
All right.
At least one in there from him. That's my request. We'll
right.
see whether Stell goes with it or not. All right, 6:21 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Gabe's here. Stell's here as well. Of course, you can email Stell, STEL at newstalkstl.com or Mike at newstalkstl.com, or just send us a note on social media, whatever you want there. Okay, well, that didn't take long. Leftists demand the Francis Scott Key Bridge name Francis Scott Key Bridge stay buried under the water because why? Racism.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, okay. So according to NBC, I printed up their article on this, a consortium of civil rights groups. Have you ever noticed that if you're an activist and you are race-based, you are a civil rights group automatically just by being race-based?
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I've seen Black Lives Matter described as a civil rights group.
And they are not.
Right. Correct. And so, but anyway, according to NBC, a consortium of civil rights groups voted unanimously Wednesday to petition the Maryland state government to rename the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Of course, the author of the Star-Spangled Banner, the author of our national anthem, because why? He was also a slave owner.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So the Caucus of African American Leaders, that's the name of the group, which includes the NAACP, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. If it's a national coalition, there should be a lot more than 100 of you.
You'd think,
anyway,
right?
But and several others. They're urging Governor Wes Moore and the Maryland General Assembly to change the name, given that, this is in NBC's article, given that Key was a controversial and oftentimes contradictory figure in the anti-slavery movement. They suggested that it be named after Representative Perrin J. Mitchell, the first black Marylander to be elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. He was elected in 1970.
Well, why though? Like, okay, look, all of our figures in our history are quote unquote controversial because none of them share modern day sensibilities because they lived not in the modern day. Why is this? Why do we keep going back and try to adjudicate the morality of people who lived in a completely different world than us?
Because racism.
Oh, okay. All right, I got you. All right, the racism.
Yes. let me explain this to you, Gabe.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Please
explain racism to me, sir.
Let me white-splain this to you, Gabe. Gee, by the way, the congressman died in 2007.
They should name something else after him. Sure.
They probably have.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's probably a school named after him.
Probably, yeah. So let's see here. Yeah, they've got some other things they want renamed as well. So the caucus says they plan to formally share the recommendation with the governor this week. They also plan to discuss renaming in more detail at their quarterly meeting with the governor. And additionally, the caucus is urging the governor and state government to create a memorial for the 6 Latino workers who were killed on the bridge collapse. I think the governor already said they're going to do something like that. That's great. That's fine. I mean, no issue there.
So hold on. So they want a memorial for the Latino workers who died. Were there any white workers who died?
No.
Okay.
No. They were all of South American origin.
Yeah, but why the distinction?
Because racism.
Okay. All right.
Listen, there should be some kind of memorial there for the workers, who died there. It was not their fault. They didn't cause an accident. They were just hardworking dudes who were trying to do maintenance on a bridge. So I got no issue whatsoever.
Absolutely.
But it shouldn't be like, look at these brown men.
Right.
Let's remember the brown men. What's their name? I don't know, but they were brown.
that seems to be the modus operandi here. It's purely about the signals, the virtue signals, and the racial identities of people, as opposed to having some measure of humanity and just regarding them as people.
Right.
They're symbols more than anything else to these the so-called activists.
Now here's this. You talk about the symbols. Here's the interesting thing about the bridge. The Francis Scott Key Bridge was erected in 1977. It overlooks the Patapsco River, which is the river where Francis Scott Key sat next to and wrote the Star-Spangled Banner after witnessing the British defeat at the Battle of Baltimore in 1840. So it's named the Francis Scott Key Bridge there because that's where he was when our national anthem was written because of what he witnessed there.
That's literally the best thing to name after Francis Scott Key is that bridge.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything else in that area that makes sense? Because it probably passed over a portion of the water that his boat went over while he was writing the song. So there's why are you doing this? Leave it alone.
He was stuck there, and he's looking through the smoke, etc. As the sun comes up, winds up writing the lyrics and then puts the song together. And now here we are, how many decades later, and we're deciding, no, we need to change it, and we need to honor someone else. The guy wrote it right there in Baltimore Bay. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to be changing it.
Yeah.
The convener of the Caucus of African American Leaders' name is Carl Snowden. He's quoted as saying, "Every single public structure that is built to honor someone is being done using all taxpayers' money. Whoever the bridge is named after should be somebody that all taxpayers can respect."
Oh, shut up. Shut up. You know how many things are named after presidents that I do not respect?
Right.
Just look, they are important figures to the country. That's how you get things named after you. Is either you pay for it, or you build it yourself, or somebody else recognizes that you have an important place in our national identity or local identity or things like that. We have Lindbergh Road and all these. The Boeing Company is named after a guy named Boeing, right? So all of these things, just stop with this trying to say, oh, I only want things to be named after people I respect. In that case, nothing would be named anything. Everything would be named Gabe.
Yeah, I mean, think
Or
about it.
Solomon, my dad.
There you go. I mean, that's the thing is you look at, when you go to West Virginia, for instance, and I spent several weeks in West Virginia many years ago working on something, and almost everything there is named after Robert Byrd.
Yes, yes.
Almost everything.
Because he got the money for it, basically.
Right. And he was named the West Virginian of the century of the 1900s.
Mhm.
He was literally a member of the Klan.
Yes, yes.
Literally.
They've got pictures of him in the hood
Right.
and everything.
Literally a member of the Klan.
Yeah.
Nobody's that I know of recently from the left is pushing to take down the giant bronze statue of Robert Byrd.
No.
And he was a buddy of Biden, correct?
Oh, very close.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh, yeah.
And so, Harry S. Truman went to a Klan meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was maybe a member of a local one for a very short time. He goes, no, this isn't for me. And he said, I changed my mind. I'm out. I don't like this. Okay. But he did that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, if you go deep enough, you're going to find something everybody in history has said or done that's controversial or offensive or would not be tolerated today.
Yes, yes.
So what we're trying to do is stunt our intellectual conversation
Mhm.
about these things.
Mhm.
Now, I would argue that somebody like Byrd should be, if you're going to cancel somebody, cancel him.
Right.
Or we can just not cancel people.
Well, because he was, and that's the thing too. He's kind of stood a sconce of modern sensibilities in the modern day.
Yeah.
On some level, you know what I mean? So like you said, if there's anybody who we would technically cancel, he would be among the ones
Right.
that would qualify because he was still saying the N-word on network TV as late as the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, so yes. I mean, but here's they say, but he owned slaves, and Francis Scott Key thought black people were inferior to white people.
Right.
Well, that's what happened with slave owners, and he was one of the advocates to say, well, once we get this, this settled, then he said we should repatriate Black Americans back to Liberia,
Yeah.
to Africa.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, inferior thinking. I mean, obviously.
I guess so.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just arguing, okay, at that point, are we going to go dig up dirt? I mean, listen, Martin Luther King had skeletons in his closet, too.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, but we don't want to talk about that because the legacy is bigger than the person.
Right.
And the legacy with what Francis Scott Key gave us
Mhm.
is much bigger than the person itself.
Absolutely.
I mean, name the bridge whatever you want. I don't care. I just think this reasoning is why we get into the snowflake mindset.
Mm-hmm.
We do. All right. Agree, disagree, let me know. 314-912-1019. Here's an interesting thing. At 6:35, I was going to slip in kind of a funny thing I found online, but then I started reading into it a little more.
Yeah.
It actually shows a massive shift in what we think about education in this country.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you trust more? Everything you've learned in school or the big tech at your fingertips?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, let's talk about that just ahead here because there was a survey done, and more Americans trust the big tech than all of their education. We'll talk about that just ahead here.
After all, I knew it had to be something to do with you.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
If I go crazy, then will you still call me Superman?
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I'll keep you by my side with my superhuman mind, kryptonite.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Rain chances fade quickly through the morning, even some breaks in the clouds midday, but an isolated shower or two can't be ruled out this afternoon and this evening. Not many, though. I expect highs in the mid-60s this afternoon, and it's breezy. Some gusts in excess of 30 miles per hour. Dry tonight, skies clear out, down to 46 for the low. Friday's breezy, but otherwise fantastic. Full sunshine tomorrow, up to 67 in the afternoon. And here come the 80s this weekend, noticeably warmer. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Hey everybody, it's Rob Carter. Did you know that every day 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 and need help deciphering their Medicare options? I want to tell you about my lifelong friend, Pamela Berry, Pilgrim Pammy. She has over 2 decades of experience dealing with Medicare insurance. She's an expert specializing in business owners, but she can assist you too. She'll help you navigate and uncomplicate Medicare. With nearly 70 plan options, special enrollments may be available. Call Pilgrim Pammy at 314-659-9841.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me for Groovy Grooves every Saturday to hear songs like this and memories that will take you back to a groovier place and time. Be sure to check out the playlist at newstalkstl.com for more Groovy Grooves.
And now for something completely different.
Groovy Grooves with Ron Clutho. Saturday nights at 10 on Newstalk STL.
Columbo and Katie.
Are issues like IP reform and school choice on track as we enter the final month of the Missouri legislative session? We'll find out Thursday when we talk to Representative Justin Sparks at 2:20.
Weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL. News, analysis,
I'm glad you're talking about this.
Opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
Newstalk STL.
Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's Morning Music Playlist at newstalkstl.com.
Have any luck over there yet?
My computer has just been rebooted. Hopefully, I can get back online and start doing I started doing some things on the phone. So at the very least, on Facebook, we have our National Pet Day post up. So feel free to start sharing your furry and non-furry friends with us.
Because it's National Pet Day. Mm-hmm. So I sent Gabe a few pictures of our cat, Rosie. And you've added yours and added, you get Stell's.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I got McDougal. Yep.
Okay. All right. And Rebecca on Rumble says they've got 3 dogs, Boss, Tank, and Rome Willow.
Those are cool names.
A cat named Stash.
Nice. Well. Now, is he named Stash because he has what apparently looks like a mustache?
I don't know, Rebecca. Questions out there. Let me know.
Or maybe named after Stan Musial, because I think that was Stan's nickname.
Oh, was it?
At times. I think so.
Look at that.
So, but anyway, when you see that on Facebook at least, just comment with a picture. Introduce us to your pet because it's National Pet Day.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Yeah. We'll get that up on Twitter here as soon as we can.
Yep.
The answer to your question is yes.
Yay.
There it is.
I get it. Right. I got it.
All right. We talk about education a lot, and I'm pretty hard on the institutions and the education establishment here, but apparently my mistrust is not that out of the mainstream.
No.
Okay. That's the good news, is that other people see, the education establishment kind of the same way. The bad news is that the majority of Americans trust a big tech source instead of their education. So I'm not sure which is good or bad news.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Don't forget, Newstalk STL social media. We just talked about that. Love to see the pictures of your pets. Facebook and Twitter are going to be the easiest places. That's up on Facebook right now. Okay, so this is one of those things, every once in a while I try to throw in, I see something that's kind of funny, and we kind of take a breather from all the hard and heavy and emotional news. And I found one that said 55% of Americans trust Google more than their education.
Oh, boy.
And I thought, well, that's pretty funny. I'll put that in there. And then I start reading all of the articles and the surveys on this, and it actually shows you that just how bad the education system and the establishment is, to the point where we don't even trust it in our own lives.
Oh, boy.
And it is, let me get the actual document here that I had on it. 55% of people say they rely on Google more than what they learned in their formal education.
Man.
And on average, we ask Google 5 basic questions every day. There are things that
sure.
Google questions for today. Sure,
Yeah.
But here's the thing. In the new poll, the average American says they only use 52% of the information they learned in school in their adult lives. So about half of what they learned in school is not applicable to their life.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's very, very telling.
Yes. I was just talking with my one of my co-pastors at church there. I went with him to the game actually, and we were just talking on the drive about education. His wife was a public school teacher, and they have one child in public schools right now, and two are being homeschooled, and it's just there's serious concern about just how the system is set up, and the more his wife kind of looks into it, the more she's seeing the results in her children and things like that, the more she's convinced that the system is just not set up to teach properly, especially now. Maybe at some point, even in the Industrial Revolution period, where it seemed like they were just trying to train worker drones to work in the factories, even then, reading, writing, and arithmetic was at least a focus, and we kind of got through that. I mean, I'm a product of public schools myself, so I managed to get through having learned something and being able to apply it. But the system does not seem to be set up in such a way that it maximizes the time that we give our kids to this institution, and the kids aren't benefiting from it in the same way anymore. So there's something wrong. There's absolutely something wrong, and things have to change. And in the meantime, kids are going to fall through the cracks. That's one of the real problems too.
Yeah. And one of the things when I'm looking at the article on this, you can find it at swnsdigital.com. And what people, and we talk about the ideological stuff, the fact that the public education system is primarily a leftist indoctrination center, and any sort of actual education comes later.
It's designed to create activists, leftist activists.
Yeah, and compliant, drones. Education isn't their priority right now. I'm convinced of that.
Mm-hmm.
But what this has nothing to do with that. For instance, results show that respondents basically are complaining about not being told practical information. One group said that, okay, I know what an isosceles triangle is, but I had no idea what the difference was between a W2 and a W4.
Yeah. Yep.
And when you look at Gen Z, just barely over half of Gen Zers were able to identify the mitochondria as the powerhouse of the cell, but only a quarter could correctly define taxable income as money, property, or services you earn through work or investment.
Right.
So basic life skills is what these people are talking about. And I think in Missouri, I don't know about Illinois, I think that there is a personal finance class that may be required now,
in high schools,
or they're required to offer it as an elective or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But what we have here is that when you have people who decide that they're going to work in theory instead of actually what is your life going to need, first of all, you leave room for all the indoctrination stuff.
Yeah.
You leave room for the activist training. You leave room for, I'll say it, the grooming and sexual grooming of children. But we've got a system now that isn't adapting not just to technology, but what the young people are going to need in their lives.
Right.
Now, I would be thrilled if we just simply went back to, here are the basics of reading, writing, arithmetic. I mean, if we just got rid of all the nonsense and we could rebuild from there, okay. But you said in the meantime, we've got generations of children who have already fallen through the cracks, continue to fall through the cracks. And we talk about the school choice options that we want to try to empower parents to do this. But even of the actual educational stuff, academic stuff that is there, over half of Americans right now say it's not relevant to my life. It doesn't do me any good. Fine, I passed the test, but it doesn't help me now.
Oh, yeah. There are plenty of people who say, I know I learned trigonometry in school. I was able to actually get good grades in math, but I do not remember.
Right.
Nor do I use trigonometry in my everyday life, or at least the type that was taught in schools.
Right.
So things like that, we need to actually be evaluating those things. You'd think with all of the administrators, the outsized number of administrators we have in relative to the number of students that are out there, which are driving up costs of education, by the way, that somebody would be looking into this to try to improve education. But of course, we're talking about people who were indoctrinated in their own right, right? Through through academia, and now all they can think of is how do I make the system a better factory for leftist activists?
Yeah, I mean, and remember, every organization's first priority, whether they admit it or not, is to preserve the organization.
True.
Often to grow the organization.
Yes.
To circle the wagon. That's human nature.
Yes.
That your church wants to grow.
Self-preservation is kind of built in.
The adult baseball league that I'm a member of the executive committee on, we want to grow.
Yeah, want more teams.
We want more teams. We want more players. Your Boy or Girl Scout troop, they want to grow. The Future Farmers of America, you want to grow. Colleges and universities, they want to grow. That's what we do. We want to protect what we do. And in education, that's one of the reasons they don't want more competition, even when they're confronted with something like this. And I imagine people taking the survey weren't thinking about doctrinaire type stuff. They weren't thinking about, they weren't thinking about the indoctrination. They weren't thinking about that. They're just saying, what I learned is useless. It doesn't help me at all.
Right. And of course, when it comes to the actual practical things in life, they have to turn to some things or someone, and very often that ends up being Google.
Right. And that's what they're saying is they trust Google more than their education, which has its own set of biases, which has its own set of omissions, which has its own set of censorship. But that's where people go. I mean, I'm Googling stuff constantly myself.
Well, yeah, and your hope is that they on some level are discerning enough to say, okay, Google's definitely the place where I want to find out the difference between a W-2 and a W-4. Right? Because that's pretty straightforward, factual information. When Google says it, I can Google tells me where the IRS is, and I can go to the IRS and figure that out. But when it comes to the other stuff, when it comes to how to, I don't know, the sociological things, what's the difference between communism and capitalism,
right?
You know what I mean? Google may not be the source for that information where you're trying to determine how you want to vote and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely not. And you try to explain to folks, there's a huge bias in Google. When you go in there, you are going to see what they want you to see for the first 4, 5, 6 pages. You got to dig way down deep, and you've got other options out there for search engines. But most people are too lazy to try to use a different search engine. No, I'll just go to Google. And then you try to explain the biases in Wikipedia. And people go, hey, I go to Wikipedia all the time. I'll tell you what, you're living in a dangerous territory if you're trusting Wikipedia for a lot of your history.
Absolutely. Yeah, seriously.
I can think of one classic one, Mike. You would love this one. When Scooter Gennett with, I think it was Scooter Gennett, is that how you pronounce his last name? With Cincinnati Reds, second baseman, hit 4 home runs against the Cardinals.
Oh, yeah.
A few years ago.
We try to forget things like that.
So, somebody went in and changed the Cardinals page to ownership of the team, Scooter Gennett of the Cincinnati Reds instead of the DeWitt family. And it stayed that way for 2 or 3 days until somebody realized, wait a minute, look, the DeWitts don't own the Cardinals anymore.
Well, that does bring us, I know we got to get to an information segment here in a second, but we do. I do need to pause for our new sponsor here at newstalkstl.com.
Okay.
Why spend 4 years at college and you can get a complete education at your own pace at Google University?
Why do men have nipples?
Does farting burn calories?
At Google University, you're hands-on and interactive.
Do penguins have knees?
No sitting for hours listening to lectures or reading books.
Why do we yawn?
At Google you'll embrace curiosity and answer life's real questions.
Why don't we pronounce 11 1-1?
From quantum physics to cat memes.
Don't you hate it when a sentence doesn't end the way you think it octopus?
Google University.
Am I pregnant?
Are aliens real? When will I die?
It's free and just a click away.
Okay, some of those are legit questions.
Especially about penguins and knees.
There you go. All right, let's dump some news on you here in just a moment. And speaking of education, in Missouri, we're trying to empower parents more. We're going to visit with our friends from the Herzog Foundation. The Most Scholars program is getting caught in the crossfire by the left and some people who are claiming to be conservative, trying to stop parents from having access to a better education for their kids. So we're going to get the update on that around 7:05 here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I really like how the
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Do you have a house that you've been thinking about selling, but maybe it needs a lot of work and you want to sell it in as-is condition? 314-417-1000. My name's Chad with Clayman Real Estate, where we've had a family business for over 90 years, and we buy houses direct from the seller with no middleman involved. 314-417-1000. We recently just bought a house from a nice person who had been in her house for over 30 years. Quite frankly, she wasn't excited about letting a bunch of people in the house, and she wasn't as proud of the house as she once was, and she was ready to sell. We came in and we made her an as-is offer with no repairs and no agency involved. It was just a one-time walkthrough. If you're in that situation and you have a house that you're thinking about selling in as-is condition and want a simple solution, reach out. 314-417-1000. 314-417-1000. Reach out to Clayman Real Estate today, and we will provide you with an as-is, simple solution to your real estate issue.
Kickstart your spring with Spring into Green savings on a John Deere compact tractor at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. For a limited time, we have 0% financing for 84 months with zero down on select models. Plus, when you purchase an in-stock model year 23 compact tractor, you'll save up to an additional $2,500. Take home the tractor of your dreams today. Visit snpartners.com for more information.
Offer valid through 4/26/2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
Missouri lawmakers close to cutting off taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood. And Josh Hawley, not impressed with the philosophers at Code Pink.
Philosophers? That's generous.
Yeah. And the Cardinals give away the game in the series win to the Phillies, and I'm still mad about it.
Yeah, I was there.
I'm mad at one guy. Let's just say I'm mad at one guy.
Well, he was having a rough day.
He had a terrible day.
Yeah, he was having a rough day.
He had a rookie day.
Yes, he did. Big time rookie day. So I don't know if he's packing his bag for Memphis this morning or not, but I don't think so.
No.
All right. It is 7:50 right now. Let's see here. Let's start in Washington, D.C. here again. Republican-led House committees, multiple committees, are threatening to hold U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress right now. And this is after the DOJ refused and continues to refuse to hand over the audio recordings of former special counsel Robert Hur and his team interviewing President Biden on the handling of those classified documents that were found in his home and in his office and all those kind of places. Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan was on Hannity last night, and he says, you know what, we still have a lot of questions that we want answers for.
He knew the facts, he disclosed it, and he kept that information, but he doesn't get charged because Robert Hur says he's a forgetful old man. So we think it's incumbent upon the Justice Department to give us all that evidence.
Now, remember, I was reporting yesterday that the Justice Department was hesitating, saying, well, this is just going to be used for political purposes. Well, now the Justice Department says they can't turn over the audio recordings because there are concerns the practice would make it harder for the department to get cooperation from defendants in the future.
But don't they answer to Congress?
Yes.
So,
well, they're part of the administration, but there's oversight with Congress.
Yeah,
so
well, that's the thing, yes.
So, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they want those. They will be used for political purposes. I mean, let's be honest.
It is what it is.
That is why they want those. They want these for the possible impeachment inquiry, the impeachment hearings. That's what they want them for. So let's be honest about that.
Sure.
But the DOJ, I can't imagine why they would have the authority to not turn them over to oversight committees.
Right.
That's just my guess here. All right. Let's see here. The Missouri Senate finally approves a bill that would cut off taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood. Democrats filibustered that, of course, for 11 hours, but the bill now goes to the State House. If it passes there, and I really do think it will make Planned Parenthood ineligible for payments or reimbursements from the state's Medicaid system.
Yay, suck it, baby killers.
That's right. We'll probably know, I'm going to guess next week, what the fate of that bill likely is going to be. Okay, the two assumed presidential nominees are reacting to a state Supreme Court ruling that upholds an Arizona law. Now, that Arizona law bans most abortions. It's basically as pro-life as Missouri's law.
Right.
And so what happened with this law is it was passed in 1864, I think it was. And then obviously
Roe v. Wade struck it down.
Roe v. Wade overrode that. And then with Roe v. Wade being dismantled and overturned by the Dobbs decision, there was a case in Florida Arizona where they were saying, well, does that mean that this law goes back into effect? And
right,
that was the
because it's still on the books. It was never rescinded.
Correct. And so that's what the state Supreme Court ruled, is that, well, this law is still on the books.
Right.
So therefore, the law that bans abortions, unless it is involving the saving of the life of the mother, is still on the books. And so both of the presidential nominees responded to that. And unfortunately, they had somewhat similar responses.
President Biden called the Arizona Supreme Court's upholding of an 1864 abortion law extreme and dangerous, and told a White House press conference,
"Elect me. I'm in the 20th century, 21st century, not back then."
Meanwhile, Donald Trump said the Arizona law goes too far and called on state lawmakers to change it, even as he defended the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Be nice if we could get his centuries straight.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, precisely. That tells a lot.
Well, the thing is that judicial ruling was correct. I mean, just from a standpoint of judging the law for what it is and what it's supposed to do. That's what happens if you, as Congress, don't rescind the law. It is in effect unless some higher authority says no. So the judgment was correct. Whether or not we want to change the state legislature wants to change that law, make adjustments to it, or strike it down. Yeah, I guess it's up to them, but I would leave it.
Any changes to the law, calling for any changes to the law means that you are calling for more
abortions.
Access to abortion.
Yes, you are.
That's what it is.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the only way to look at it. Okay, so let's see here. DC again. Senator Josh Hawley was either he was confronted or he confronted them, but there were a bunch of protesters led by the Code Pink idiots on Capitol Hill, and they decided they wanted to go after him for being pro-Israel because they were doing the whole demanding the ceasefire thing and, painting their hands red and all that kind of stuff. And let's just say he was not impressed.
These are people who can't even admit that the Uyghurs are in internment camps, concentration camps, and yet they say that Israel is a terrorist state? Give me a break.
That's from the Ingram angle on Fox last night. About 50 people were arrested Wednesday after shutting down a cafeteria in the U.S. Capitol. How does that many people and a mob get into the U.S. Capitol and into a cafeteria?
I'm pretty sure they let them in.
Come on.
Somebody let them in. And, I want to know more. What did you know? Where were you when you knew and all that?
That's just ridiculous on the face. Okay, local crime story here. St. Louis police are investigating a business break-in that happened in South St. Louis City. And I know you're saying, Mike, break-ins happen all the time in the city. I know, but listen, it looks like it happened at the Donut Drive-In on Chippewa.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Overnight hours, late Tuesday, early Wednesday. Nobody was at work at the time. There were no donuts made at the time, so the burglars left empty-handed. Now, to kind of paraphrase Chris Rock, Gabe, I'm not saying I'm condoning what happened, but I am saying those are really good donuts at the Donut Drive-In there on Chippewa. So I understand. That's all I'm saying is I don't condone it. I don't endorse it. But I get it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. And the police were thinking, Gabe, oh, man, we're going to a donut shop. This is awesome.
It's like, this was already on my route.
All right. The Blues beat the Blackhawks at Enterprise last night. Final score there, 5-2. There's no game today. The Blues host Carolina on Friday. Believe it or not, guys, technically speaking, the Blues are actually still in the race for a wild card playoff spot with 3 games to go in the season. I did not think that was going to be the case.
Really?
Yeah. There's now a whole lot of stuff still has to go right for them, and it's unlikely, but they are still actually technically in the wild card race.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. I guess
All they can do is win out from here.
Yeah.
All right, an error that allowed 2 runs, a drop fly ball, and a base running mistake that cost the Cardinals 2 runs were the main reasons that the Redbirds lost to the Phillies of Busch on Wednesday. All 3 of those were by Victor Scott II, rookie. Final score was 4-3.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo with a great offer from the cleaning pros at Zero Res. So many of us are suffering from allergies right now. It's time to get your home clean and healthy, and Zero Res is here to help. Book a cleaning in April and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129, plus you can take $50 off your air duct cleaning. Get the jump on spring cleaning now. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Springtime storms wreak havoc across parts of the South.
Severe storms across the Gulf region on Wednesday caused damage from Texas to the Florida Panhandle and flooded streets in New Orleans. In Slidell, Louisiana, an estimated Category EF1 tornado damaged dozens of buildings. Chris Kaufman is the fire chief for St. Tammany Parish.
We had to evacuate more than 50 people from this structure. No fatalities, a couple of injuries, but just amazing that we got through this area, how bad the damage is.
In Texas, flooding led to water rescues in Jasper County. There was heavy damage to a church in Port Arthur. And in Katy, Texas, a severe thunderstorm collapsed part of the roof of a Firestone repair shop, flinging an air conditioning unit into the parking lot. I'm Jennifer King.
A judge has, for a third time, refused to delay next week's scheduled start of former President Trump's so-called hush money criminal trial in New York. Jury selection on Monday. President Biden will meet today with Japan's Prime Minister and the Philippine President. They'll discuss a threat posed by Communist China. And Beijing now sanctioning 2 U.S. companies over arms sales to Taiwan. Ukraine is expanding its draft.
Ukraine's parliament has passed a law that will govern how the country recruits new conscripts. Following months of delay and after thousands of amendments were submitted to water down the initial draft, lawmakers have dragged their feet over the law, which is expected to be unpopular. The move was spurred by a request from the military command under former army commander Valery Zaluzhny, who said Ukraine was in need of up to 500,000 new recruits to boost army ranks. I'm Charles Villadesma.
On Wall Street this morning, stock futures in negative territory so far. The Dow futures are down 168 points. NASDAQ futures off 70 points ahead of this morning's opening bell. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
The waves were mighty and fierce as could be when my lady and I got lost at sea. We tossed and turned and we nearly drowned when my brave little boat went down. Whoa, 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 no, none of that's true. You haven't had a date in a year or two. The sea was calm and the sky was clear and you crashed right into the pier.
Yeah, fine.
Accidents don't just happen in sea shanties, so Progressive Boat Insurance has you covered. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you can save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms and not available for all boats or in all situations.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Rain chances fade quickly through the morning, even some breaks in the clouds midday, but an isolated shower or two can't be ruled out this afternoon and this evening. Not many, though. I expect highs in the mid-60s this afternoon, and it's breezy. Some gusts in excess of 30 miles per hour. Dry tonight, skies clear out, down to 46 for the low. Friday's breezy, but otherwise fantastic. Full sunshine tomorrow, up to 67 in the afternoon. And here come the 80s this weekend, noticeably warmer. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Okay, the ideological and the partisan arguments are happening, obviously, over education and school choice in Missouri. I mean, a lot of state legislatures are doing that. Let's look at some of the mechanics that are being debated on this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Most Scholars program, expansion of that, which means expansion of access to scholarships for people, young people across the state, is one of the main thing that's being argued because it competes with the state's process and system, and they don't want the competition on that. But let's talk about what it actually does here in just a second. 7:06 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here as well. Now joined by Darrell Jones from our friends at the Herzog Foundation. Darrell, just completely off topic here. Today is National Pet Day. Are there any critters in your house?
There are no critters. I'm happy to say they've all graduated high school and college. There you go.
Nice.
What a blessing
well
that
played.
is to my wife and I.
Well played, sir.
And thank God they're not listening this morning. That's really the.
How about the four-legged kind?
The nest is empty.
No. We're on the road so much that at this season of our life, the four-legged kind is not in our present situation. But I'll tell you, I know the day's coming. We've been there, and we'll be there again.
I kind of walked into that one, didn't I? I kind of did. Okay, now listen, we've talked so often with you, Darrell, about what you do to promote Christian education, but also to provide the resources for those who want to homeschool or start a micro school or work with Christian schools. We talk about that, but right now most scholars is what's in the headlines. I mean, when we talk about the school choice debate and what's happening within the legislature, within one party, within fractions of that particular party right now, a lot of this comes down to, will people have more access to school choice or not? And I think what's getting lost are the mechanics of this, because you're deeply involved in the mechanics with the Most Scholars program, because you're one of the clearinghouses, so to speak. So when they're talking about expanding that program, how much demand is there for this? I mean, there are people saying, "Oh, it's just affects a few people. Why are we expanding this?" But it's pretty popular, right?
Yeah, Mike, you're exactly right. And honestly, it's the topic around the country. It's not just a local, state, or regional topic at all. I mean, you're hearing about it all over the country, and in red states and even blue states that are really frustrated with status quo public education and looking for private options for all of the families that that representatives and that states serve, and we're seeing a great demand certainly in the state of Missouri. The Missouri legislature and Governor Parsons signed in what activated and began operating in July of 2022 is the Missouri Scholars Program that individuals from across the state can just willingly, choose to give to. So for example, my wife and I, we can give up to 50% of our Missouri tax liability. We can give to one of 6 clearinghouses, of which Herzog is one of those, and we can give up to 50% of our Missouri tax liability to the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation, for the purpose of the foundation then finding students and families that qualify, and then those dollars can be turned around to be given, $6,300 scholarships across the state. And so what's happened is, since that happened in 2022, I mean, we just released to all of our donors our latest report. We've awarded 1,140 student scholarships in that 1,800 months. These are all students in the state of Missouri who now have an option for private education when the families don't believe that the public option serves them very well at all. In addition to that, we've been able to raise, just through the contributions, the tax credit donations from over 340 supporters, we've raised $6.9 million. Those are new dollars that individuals in the state of Missouri are designating. We want this to go to help families across the state. We're giving to schools in the St. Louis area. We're giving to 80 different schools across the state of Missouri, both private Christian and private secular schools, to give all families support for choice for their students, for their children.
Okay, so just to clarify something right there, you talk about the $6.9 million. That's not taxpayer government funding. Those are donations that have come from individuals and families and maybe some other. But we're talking private donations. That's not government sending you a check.
Absolutely. No, that's exactly right. That is absolutely. That's $6.9 million in tax credits. And so, the way that the legislature and the governor signed the law into existence, it's you and me and other folks and corporations across the state of Missouri that are saying, okay, I'm liable for this amount on my Missouri taxes every year. I can take up to 50% of my liability, and I can earmark it not to go to Jefferson City, but to go to one of these 6 clearinghouses. Those dollars then equate to $6,300 scholarships for families that qualify for the scholarship. And again, in 18 months, we are thrilled that we've been able to help scholarship 1,140 students because of 340 Missouri taxpayers who've been willing to say, "Hey, we'll contribute. We'll take up to 50% of our tax liability," and that's $6.9 million that have been turned around for scholarships for students across the state of Missouri.
Good morning, Darrell. Gabe here. So, how does one go about earmarking that money for the various education organizations? Where can somebody go to learn how to do that?
Absolutely. HerzogFoundation.com. We are happy to answer any questions and to talk people through the process. It's really not a difficult process at all. About a 5-minute process is what it amounts to. But if you contact us at HerzogFoundation.com, in fact, I'm Darrell. Here you go. I'm Darrell, Darrell, at HerzogFoundation.com. We would be more than happy to give you the instruction. It's a very simple process. It's not difficult at all. And much of it you can find just by going to our website, HerzogFoundation.com.
Okay.
But we're happy to have phone conversations and talk people through the process.
Darrell, I mean, obviously the politicians are deciding whether or not the limit on this, the cap on this is going to grow, which would obviously mean more opportunity for younger people. You all aren't doing the political thing, but, this does affect what you're allowed to do when it comes to providing this access. So is it getting harder to separate out, hey, listen, politicians are going to do their things, the parties are going to do their things. We're just trying to get young people more access to school choices and empower parents here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're a 501c3. We're not involved in lobbying. We don't have any presence like that. But what we do is once the law passes, we deal with what is the law and what are we allowed to do, because what we believe is that parents need options. And when parents have options, that's better for their kids and the education of their kids. And so, this Missouri Scholars Program, as it is, and yet to see how it will be amended or modified, if at all, through this legislative session. But the reality is, what we do know is it is not funded by the Missouri state government. And so the only way, if they raise the cap to $75 million in tax credits that are allowable, it means 6 different clearinghouses have to go find $75 million. And that only happens through Missouri corporations and Missouri taxpayers who see the benefit and really want to earmark their tax dollars to go to this program. So we're certainly eager to speak with anybody who'd like to talk about that mission. Oftentimes you look at, what's going on in the country, and certainly as a conservative, I, with my hands in the air, say, well, what can I do? This is something in the state of Missouri that every Missouri taxpayer and every Missouri corporation has the opportunity to say, you know what, I can help children in our state just with my tax dollars, just by utilizing the limits of the law to earmark up to 50% of my Missouri tax liability to the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation for the purpose of making scholarships available to more students for more families.
Yeah, and that's what we need to be talking about this in the terms of the scholarships, in terms of the donations, because I keep hearing opponents saying these are vouchers, which is a totally different thing.
A totally different thing.
These are not vouchers, and I have a feeling that they know that when they make those claims, when they say vouchers are a scam, vouchers, that sort of thing.
Right.
But maybe it's a matter of we also need to be careful of our how we present this, because these are not it's just factually incorrect to call them vouchers.
That is factually incorrect. These are not vouchers. This is not state funded at all. These are dollars that never go into the coffers, much like other pieces of Missouri law that allows for tax credits for certain things that that the House and Senate and the governor have seen as viable and important for the state. So this is not robbing Peter to pay Paul at all. This is not a voucher system. You're exactly correct on that. It's the willful donations of people who are earmarking up to 50% of their Missouri tax liability. And certainly, during this week, as we're approaching April 15th, this is a time where people are talking to their tax advisors and tax accountants and attorneys and figuring out, okay, where are my dollars going and what is my liability and how am I meeting the law? And so a good time for us to be talking about this topic for sure.
Hey, good morning, Darrell. Stal Ponticus here. Quick question for you. If someone works for a company that does matching donations in a situation like this, is that applicable for you guys?
That is a great question, and one that, to be honest with you, I would have to direct you to our ESA people because I don't know the answer. What I know for certain, is that it is absolutely tax liability. And so it's not viewed as a donation per se, as much as it is, the directing of tax credits, the receiving of tax credits for tax. So I don't know that, over the top contributions factor into that at all. That's a great question that I wish I was more versed on to be able to answer for you this morning.
Well, all the more reason for everybody to look into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. What I do know is if a corporation pays Missouri tax, up to 50% of that corporate tax liability could be distributed for student scholarships to private education, both Christian and private education across the country, including Christian schools. And the Herzog Foundation, the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation, would be more than happy to help with that process. Another one of the fallacies that get articulated is that the foundation and these 6 clearinghouses are just really getting fat on all of these dollars. Mm-hmm. Listen, this costs us money to operate this program. What the legislature said that each of these 6 clearinghouses could keep back for the operation of the program does not operate the program. And so we believe in it so much that we're investing Herzog Foundation dollars to make this successful and to help families with school choice options.
Okay, and then people get in touch. They learn more. Let's put out that information one more time.
HerzogFoundation.com, all things that we do to help homeschool organizations, homeschool families, homeschool co-ops, as well as Christian schools, and even folks that are just looking for options, not happy with the status quo. HerzogFoundation.com, all of the things that we're involved in, you can find out there.
All right, good talk to you again, Darrell. Thanks so much.
Great talking to you. Have a great week.
All right, 314-912-1019. Just ahead here, the Missouri legislature close to cutting off Planned Parenthood from taxpayer dollars.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What's the reality of that? What does it actually mean? Let's go ahead and rebuff some of the left's arguments against this improvement right here around 721 here. 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Destination, making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that? Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Hey, it's Thursday, 420. We'll speak with Steve Bucci of Heritage Foundation on the Israeli-Hamas war. And at 5:40, Congressman Burgess Owens on the latest congressional happenings.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Always be clear where you get your conservative talk.
The St. Louis Business Journal is now reporting that liberal billionaire George Soros is the largest shareholder of Odyssey,
the parent company of KMOX and 97.1 Talk. Soros' maneuver raises critical questions about the future of media ownership and influence.
Money and attention is power. And when he has the money and he controls what's on the radio stations, he's going to be able to control the minds, potentially hundreds of millions of Americans.
St. Louis's trusted source and number one
for conservative talk.
This is News Talk STL.
A little while ago, I was having brunch with one of my buddies, and Pedro was telling me about a house that he just bought, and he was just doing some basic rent, a little bit of a fixer-upper, but nothing too bad. But he wanted to buy it as an investment, then he was renting it out, just a little bit of side income, and he was talking about the things he had to do, needed a new roof on it, a little bit of landscaping. He goes, yeah, I had to get some new windows. He goes, man, those windows were expensive. And I said, did you already do it? He goes, yeah, I already put them in. And I asked him, I said, where did you go? And he just went to the home improvement store and grabbed the generic windows. And he goes, man, that was a bite in the butt, man. That was expensive. And I told him, I said, Pedro, you should have called Window World. And he kind of looked up and tilted his head a little bit. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, listen, you should have called him. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Window World. And I was explaining to him, I said, listen, Window World windows would have been less expensive He said, but the thing is, I told him, I said, you would also have gotten a lifetime warranty on those because they're so strong. You get that lifetime warranty, so you never have to pay to replace them again. And then, of course, you could have told your renters that it was more energy efficient. They would have saved money on their utilities as well. And he's like, I didn't even know about that. So next time that he goes and expands a property or has to replace those windows, that he's going to give him a call at Window World, which, by the way, they're owned right here in St. Louis. Yes, this is a national brand, but Window World at 314-993-1800 right there in Earth City. You're driving on I-70 going to or from downtown for the game or whatever the case is, right there by St. Charles. You see in Earth City the big Window World sign on the highway. That's them. They've been in St. Louis for over 20 years. They are managed by St. Louisans. They are owned by St. Louisans. They employ St. Louisans, and all of their experts and their technicians are St. Louisans. Matter of fact, over 72,000 customers right here in St. Louis, and all of those have that lifetime warranty. They are simply the best for less. And, of course, my buddy was kind of kicking himself because he didn't give him a call at 314-993-1800. But we know from here on out that's what's going to happen because Window World products, they're not just durable, but they are secure. They're really attractive, going to improve the look of your home. And, like I said, very, very energy efficient. So give them a call, 314-993. Listen, no pressure, no obligation. Just have them come out and give you a quote. Let them show you the windows. They'll literally let you stand on top of the windows. That's how strong these glass windows are. And they'll take some measurements, and custom windows with a lifetime warranty could end up being less expensive than the generic inferior ones that you know you're going to have to replace down the road anyway. So give them a call today. Once again, 314-993-1800. Remember, Window World windows are one of only 2 windows with a good housekeeping seal of approval. They have 18 months, same as cash financing, and they are the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues.
On Friday, April 19th, groove on down to Busch Stadium for Grateful Dead Night. With the purchase of a special themed ticket, fans will receive a long-sleeve Grateful Dead lightweight hoodie. Come early for a special pregame performance by St. Louis's favorite Dead tribute band, Jake's Leg, on the Budweiser stage. A portion of each ticket purchased will be donated to the Rex Foundation. For tickets or more information, visit cardinals.com/theme.
This is Jojo Romero, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Sunday, April 21st is Donate Life Day at the Ballpark, presented by Mid-America Transplant. That day, the Cardinals host the Brewers, and fans who purchase a special themed ticket will receive an exclusive Cardinals cap supporting organ and tissue donation. A portion of each ticket sold will be donated back to support the Mid-America Transplant Foundation. That's Sunday, April 21st, Donate Life Day at the Ballpark. For tickets or more information, visit cardinals.com/theme.
This is David Eckstein, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL, live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is the show that starts my morning every day. Mike, Gabe, Stell, plus don't forget my program, Larry Connors USA, 6 to 8 p.m.
All right, don't forget Flashback Friday happening on, tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of a flashback, I just saw an ad that popped up. Guess who's coming to the, I guess it's to the Enterprise Center? Aerosmith and the Black Crowes.
Oh, no
wow.
kidding. Whoa.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Whoa.
So apparently Steven Tyler's health is back in a good spot.
Good. Oh, right. Is this the one that was rescheduled from the cancellation last November?
It was last year, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Black Crowes were not part of that tour, so now it's the Black Crowes. That's some great Southern bluesy rock there as well.
Yeah, they're a good band.
I don't know the details on it, but I'm sure you can look it up here. All right, a lot to be frustrated with when it comes to the Missouri legislature. We were just talking about, for instance, the fight over expanding education choices in the state. Yesterday we had a really robust discussion about the people who say that they're conservative, but they're fighting against school choice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of what we've got, I really think, are some of those on the left who know that they are not going to win the debate on the surface. So what they're trying to do is reframe it to say, oh, no, conservatives really oppose school choice.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least this isn't conservative enough. Or, you know what, a ESA program, that's just not. And unfortunately, it's caused a lot of confusion. And there are some conservatives who went, oh, well, I guess it's not good enough. But anything is better than something. There are bad ways to do it, but
sure,
what's being proposed right now just isn't it.
No, exactly. I think one of the kind of trigger words I think that's been used before is Trojan horse. This has been being described as a Trojan horse for government intrusion in homeschools, and this is going to make you subject to various government agencies.
They're
and things
come
like
take
that.
your guns away.
Yeah, and that kind of thing. So at this time, when conservatives are particularly sensitive to Trojan horse legislation, which has been pushed on us on a number of occasions, they're using that as a sort of emotional appeal to try and get us scared.
Right. And so with the Herzog Foundation, and then by the way, that conversation is going to be posted on our podcast platform here in a couple hours. That's a good myth buster when it comes to the Mo Scholars program in particular, because literally this bill is saying let's just allow people to donate more money to it.
Right.
That's really what we're talking about. Okay, another thing that's happening in the legislature here is that it looks like they are close, and this is serious. This isn't just a virtue signal one. It looks like it's serious that they could completely cut off Planned Parenthood from taxpayer dollars in Missouri. Now, obviously, abortion is already illegal other than the few exceptions in the state. So Planned Parenthood is not doing any abortions. The abortions that have happened in Missouri since we became a pro-life state by law have not been done at Planned Parenthood. They've happened at other places, other hospitals and things like that. And so this bill would make them ineligible because they are affiliated with an organization that provides abortions.
Right.
And so this has been attempted before. Courts have struck it down. Now there's a different approach that's being taken. But the House and the Senate, Republicans, have moved forward the plan for this that is so close that now that the Senate passes it, it looks like they could get this done in the House.
Right.
And there's just no excuse not to. Democrats, of course, filibustered it and everything. But the Democrats are arguing that, well, if you defund Planned Parenthood, then all you're doing is taking away the reimbursements for all the health care they're providing to low-income people.
Yeah.
Especially women, especially women of color. Because where do you see Planned Parenthoods? You don't see them in the ritzy part of town.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You ever been to the Ladue Planned Parenthood? No, you haven't.
No,
you know why?
No, they don't
Because
exist.
it ain't there.
Yeah, because they want the black babies to die.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We all know that money can just be moved around for whatever purposes. We were actually instructed on money movement in politics by the city of St. Louis, and they were talking about how even if you're donating to a race that's not particularly winnable or something like that, the money can move around. The money can be redirected in other places where things maybe are a little more contentious. That's basically how it works with Planned Parenthood. Whatever money that the Missouri Planned Parenthood can pull in will help the national Planned Parenthood. It could be distributed to Planned Parenthood in California or New York, where they're killing black babies by the bucketful.
Yeah. Yeah, and when it comes to the services that they say they're providing, there's not a single service that Planned Parenthood provides outside of abortion that you cannot get somewhere else.
Right.
Clinic, hospital, medical school, whatever it is. There's not a thing they provide other than abortion that is not readily available somewhere else.
Right.
So the idea that you're going to cut off medical care and treatments,
and it's going to cease.
Yeah, it's going to. No, that's just a lie.
Yeah, that's not true.
It's not, and it's not saying that it's not outlawing Planned Parenthood. It's just saying we're not going to pay for it.
Right.
So if your insurance will pay Planned Parenthood for that pregnancy test or STI test or STD test or whatever it is, that's between you and your insurance, and that has nothing to do with this. This is just saying that taxpayers will not be funding any part of an organization that built its empire on killing human beings.
Yeah. Yeah, in my area, there's like a Planned Parenthood in a sort of strip mall area, but it's right across from a gigantic medical center.
Right.
So you can't tell me that somebody in the neighborhood of that Planned Parenthood is going to suddenly be underserved in terms of their medical, capabilities and medical things that they can get near them when there's a gigantic medical center across the way. So, stop it.
Exactly. All right, 314-912-1019. Let's get an update from Illinois. Freedom Caucus hard at work there. We talked about the SAFE T Act and the actual consequences of that. There's more to the left-wing policies than just that. There's an entire review board that a lot of Republicans and conservatives are saying we need to go over this entire thing for reform. We're going to talk to some of our Freedom Caucus friends, actually Representative Brad Halbrook, here in just about 4 minutes on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Rain chances fade quickly through the morning, even some breaks in the clouds midday, but an isolated shower or two can't be ruled out this afternoon and this evening. Not many, though. I expect highs in the mid-60s this afternoon, and it's breezy. Some gusts in excess of 30 miles per hour. Dry tonight, skies clear out, down to 46 for the low. Friday's breezy, but otherwise fantastic. Full sunshine tomorrow, up to 67 in the afternoon. And here come the 80s this weekend, noticeably warmer. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
John Beal knows that new roofing companies can look big and trustworthy on the internet, but the fact is 96% of new roofing companies go out of business within the first 5 years. John Beal has a reputation for excellence, reliability, plus lowest cost, best roof, best guarantee. Those here today, gone tomorrow roofers, they can't match John Beal. For home or business, trust my friend John. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
In the 1970s, Renee Richards, born a man, sued to play as a woman in the U.S. Open. She had fully transitioned. The New York Supreme Court allowed her to do so. Also in the 70s, Gloria Steinem was leading the movement for women, and she was anti-trans, publishing an article, "If the shoe doesn't fit, change the foot." More recently, in 2013, she said, "I think I need to make it clear transgender people do have real, authentic lives." And then in 2021, she signed a letter stating, "I want to fight against unnecessary barriers placed on trans women and girls." Now, Renee Richards, ironically, had at one point served as the coach for Martina Navratilova, helping her win 2 titles. Maria has recently wrote, "I'm happy to address the transgender issue and with a woman in whatever pronoun she prefers, but I would not be happy to compete against a trans woman. It would not be fair. It would not be fair." Adding, "It's insane." And if you want a final remark, she added, "It is cheating."
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
The wait is over. Capriati's is now open. Taste extraordinary with our one-of-a-kind sandwiches, like our award-winning Bobby with hand-pulled butterball turkey and stuffing, our roast beef with hand-sliced American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, or our crowd-favorite classic cheesesteaks with your choice of grilled steak or chicken. No matter which you choose, you'll always get Capriati's high-quality ingredients. Capriati's. Eat extraordinary. Order now at capriatis.com or on the app.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code TONY at Intervine.com.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hello, morning people. Tony Columbo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Columbo and Katie.
See you then.
So I'm back to the velvet.
A lot of attention on the SAFE-T Act in Illinois. Republicans, conservatives, other people with common sense were saying, hey, by the way, you're going to be setting up a system where you're by default setting not just criminals, but criminal suspects as well, because I want to be fair until somebody's convicted on something. And we're seeing the effect of that now. But there's more to it in Illinois. That mindset that brought you the SAFE-T Act is also bringing you problems with something called a prisoner review board, which is not getting very much attention here in St. Louis at all. So there's a whole lot of people, not just who live in the Illinois side of the News Talk STL listening area, but everybody else who needs to know this is going on in the region. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. Happy National Pet Day. We got that post up on the Facebook and the Twitter for News Talk STL.
Yep.
So if you want to see our critters, they're up there. We'd love for you to comment and hashtag National Pet Day and tag News Talk STL and introduce us to your pet as well.
Roof.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Still, exactly. All right, 7:38 right now. Now joined by State Representative Brad Hallbrook from who's part of the Freedom Caucus in Missouri. Brad, good to talk to you again. It's been a while. Let me start with the SAFE-T Act back in the news over the past week. Of course, we had the tragic death of that DeKalb County deputy. DUI crash. It was bad enough that the suspect is charged with reckless homicide. And as a matter of procedure under that law, the prosecutor says, I have to let them go until their court date. We don't know if this person's going to be a threat or not, but this is just one of the latest examples of what's happening when there's not even an option to keep somebody who could be dangerous out of society when they're actually charged and they were arrested at the scene of a reckless homicide of a law enforcement officer. But we're seeing examples of this all over the state, right?
That's exactly right. And thanks for having me on, and hope you all survived the eclipse and thriving and doing better as a result of that. So this is yet another example of really bad legislation. You know, the SAFE-T Act was passed in January 2021 in the lame duck session in the wee hours of the morning. You know, we often laugh and kid about all the good stuff happens at night, weekends, early morning hours, and this is yet another example of that happening. But the Pretrial Fairness Act went into effect in September of 23, and so we see an individual here, reckless homicide, DUI, released on Monday afternoon after he ran into the back of a vehicle of a DeKalb County sheriff deputy. It's really, really disturbing.
Good morning, Brad. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So in addition to the problems that legislation like the SAFE-T Act is causing and just the general lawlessness that seems to be pervading, we've also got some issues with the Prisoner Review Board. Is that right?
That's right. And those things continue to plague the governor and this Prison Review Board. A day after the release of an inmate out of Stateville, he began to stab an ex-girlfriend. Her 11-year-old son tried to intervene, and he was killed in all of that.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, this is not good. Two members of that board have resigned, and this is, again, another disturbing situation. And the governor basically says, well, we just have to provide more training for these board members. I'm not sure what the answer is other than maybe we have to pick different candidates for this board other than what's been done.
Now, St. Louisans aren't particularly familiar with this issue and kind of introducing it to them now. How are individuals on the Prisoner Review Board chosen currently under the law?
My understanding is the governor appoints, and then they go through a Senate confirmation. So if you've watched Senator McClure from Springfield, which is my state senator, and Senator Jason Plummer, they've been really outspoken about this over the last several months. It was early on, these appointments were made, and right before their Senate confirmation, the governor would pull their appointment, and so they wouldn't go through the scrutiny of that, but they would have served all this time. And again, Senator McClure can speak way more to this because he's been a vital part of that whole process. And but these are governor appointments.
Yeah. So is it the issue of elections have consequences and the governor appoints ideologues who make bad decisions, or is there a problem with the process itself? I mean, or maybe both. I mean, if we're looking to reform this, if we're looking to have better judgment out of it, where do we start?
Yeah, well, elections do have consequences, and when people with certain ideologies are elected, whether it's in the constitutional officers or in the state house, you're going to get those that same mindset throughout everything they do. And so I don't think the system is broken. I just think the method or the mindset of which we choose candidates to fill these roles is what the problem is. If we want different outcomes, we just have to elect different elected officials.
Good morning, Brad. Stalponticus here. You guys have been trying to help citizens with the grocery tax issue in the state. Where does that stand right now?
Yeah, so I don't think there's a bill in the House. I believe there's a bill in the Senate. This is, we advocate for, tax cuts, tax decreases all the time. And, the governor was trying to score points in his budget speech back in February when he talked about rolling this grocery tax back. However, this doesn't really affect the governor, doesn't affect the general revenue funds, because this nearly, I'm not sure exactly what the number is, $400 million is collected locally, and it stays locally. So if this tax was to go away, this would hurt local municipalities. It would really be no skin off the governor's back. It wouldn't affect the GRF. Now, a couple of years ago in the election, he rolled this tax back, but the state of Illinois backfilled to the local municipalities that amount of money that they were shorted, if you will, because of relaxing this sales tax through the election time. So our hope was that he had the same plan in place, but I don't think that was the case. He just wanted to roll the tax back, score some points, but yet this affects our local municipalities in a very, very negative way. I think there's some action moving or trying to move in the Senate, but I believe it's finding lots of resistance from the Democrats there.
Okay, now we're talking about basically grocery taxes, right?
Yeah, it's a 1% tax. Again, it's collected, on groceries, and that money stays in the local municipality. I mean, some of these municipalities in the districts I serve, it amounts to $600,000-$700,000 a year. And I don't know in total what their budgets might be, but, the town of Effingham, you're probably familiar with Effingham, the crossroads of America, I-70 and 57 run through it, 18,000 people there. So it has a negative effect to pull $600,000 or $700,000 out of their budget. And so trying to figure this out and find some common sense here, which is very difficult to do in Springfield.
Well, it's not like Illinois doesn't have enough taxes out there. It's not like, I mean, there's got to be something that could be cut somewhere, because, I mean, isn't this one of the reasons that you've got an outward migration of actual like employable and working people? I'm not talking about the illegal immigrants, but I'm talking about, people saying, I just can't afford to live anywhere. Taxes, especially income and sales and then property taxes, they all stack up. I mean, something's got to give somewhere at some point, I would think.
Right, and people are voting with their feet. They're just leaving to other states that have lower regulation, lower real estate taxes, lower or no personal income tax. They're just finding life better in other states, and so it's a problem. Of course, the governor and all the Democrats are in complete denial. Hey, the census has admitted that they have, undercounted. And they just continue to make these excuses up. And I think we've talked about this in the past. The governor denies it's happening and then starts making excuses of why it is happening. And then he says, well, it's happening to everybody. Well, the out-migration is not happening to everybody. It's happening to Illinois. Our surrounding states are growing. Illinois is losing population. They can make all the excuses they want all day long, but it's still the reality. And our small towns, I mean, over the last 10 years, we've lost 1 in 4, 1 in 5 people from our small towns. And you drive through it, you can see it. You can visibly see the loss in population.
Well, there is one demographic that seems to be increasing in the state of Illinois. That's the illegal immigrant population. So how is the fight against illegal immigration going now that Illinois has basically become a border state?
Well, I think the total now is about 38,000 illegal aliens have arrived in the state of Illinois since sometime in 2022. The mayor of Chicago was asked for another $70 million on top of the $150 million that he's already put into this migrant effort for this current budget year. I think he has recanted. He's been in opposition to the additional $70 million, so he is going to put another $70 million in. I think that was to go before the council here last night or this week sometime. The governor's asked for another $182 million. We continue to fund as a state, basically 100% health care for this illegal alien population. So anybody 42 years and older, free health care, which is plus or minus $800 million this fiscal year alone. So the numbers these aren't just a few $1,000s. These are hundreds of millions or a couple of $1 billion worth of expense when you total up, the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, and the federal dollars that are flowing in. These are billions of dollars. This is real money.
And that's just for a population of, you said, 38,000 illegals?
That's what I was thinking too, yeah.
Right. That's right. So do the math on that one. I mean, put any number you want, $1 billion, $2 billion against 38,000. It's a staggering number.
Hey, Brad, if I can interject quickly here, a suggestion for you and for our listeners. There's a program called Law and Border that is hosted by Ben Berquam on Real America's Voice. His last one that just got posted late in April deals with the illegal alien situation in Illinois. And he goes to Chicago, visits downtown, goes through different neighborhoods, and does a really good report showing what the problems are. And I just want to suggest if folks want to check that out, Law and Border is the name of the show.
Hey, thanks for that. I had not heard that, but we'll investigate that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Representative Brad Hallbrook, Illinois Freedom Caucus as well. Next week or so, we talked about some of these bigger picture issues. What's on the radar right away that we need to keep an eye on?
Yeah, so yesterday we started House deadline bill. So we have 8 days now, 7 days to get bills out of the House on third reading. Lots of crazy stuff. You can just name your subject area, and there's just lots of different things that I think right now or yesterday morning we started out with 512 bills that were on second reading to be voted on. The interesting thing was last week, Friday, was deadline week to get these bills out of committee. Nearly 200 of those 512 were waiting on amendments. So they do this maneuver, hey, we want to get this bill out on second, but we're going to hold it and bring back an amendment to committee. So even though the committee deadline was Friday, it really wasn't Friday because there's 200 bills waiting on amendments to come back. And it's just a wide plethora of really, really bad ideas. It's to kind of get into some of the bigger issues. That's really a conversation that would take another hour because it's just when you think that it can't get any worse, it gets worse.
Yeah. I mean, we could do an entire daily show on bad ideas from leftists in Illinois, but let's try to whittle that down to where we can vet those out. All right, Representative Brad Hallbrook, we've tagged you on our social media already. What's the contact website, social media for Illinois Freedom Caucus?
Yeah, just IllinoisFreedomCaucus.org, and that's the best way to find us. We're on X, YouTube. We do a live stream on a Tuesday night, not regularly every Tuesday night, but we try to have, either it's just a few of us kind of batting around some ideas, or we'll have a special guest. And Facebook, just search Illinois Freedom Caucus. You should find us. Search any of our names, and we would have various websites, rephallbrook.com or bradhallbrook.com. You can find our various websites and Facebooks like that.
All right, Representative, thanks again. Appreciate the update.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you for taking time and having me. I appreciate it. Have a good day, guys.
You got it. 314-912-1019.
By the
That's
way,
how to get involved here.
That's $26,000 per.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a lot more in the benefits because when he was saying those numbers, what you said, I'm like, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, that's a lot of numbers overpaying than what even benefits for your typical working Illinoisan is.
Yeah. So that's basically a probably a minimum wage existence for just being given out freely to these 38,000.
Yeah. That's my thoughts exactly when he was saying that, and I was grabbing my phone and
was like, wait,
I was going to do the math,
calculation?
and then I saw you doing the math. I'm like, okay, I'm going to let you. Yeah, that is so infuriating. And this, you can look at the numbers, but it's the ideology is the problem.
Yes,
Illinois voters, when are you going to make some changes? And listen, it's not the problem in the News Talk STL listening area.
Yeah, we're
for the
not
most
doing
part.
this.
It's up in we know it's Northern Illinois that's imposing this on Southern Illinois. Oh man. All right. Anyway, all right. 314-912-1019. I could rant about this forever.
Seriously,
I really could.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Never paint again. This is Darren, owner of Rhino Shield. Want to eliminate painting your home, business, or church? Call the experts at Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary ceramic wall coating to regular paint and vinyl. Perfect for aluminum, steel, unpainted brick, block, stucco, EIFS, drive-it, cement board, and wood sidings. Rhino Shield eliminates wasting time and money painting year after year. Our ceramic coating deflects 90% of the sun's UV rays and 100% of the moisture. Our clients want affordable protection with the elimination of maintenance. Rhino Shield protects your biggest investment while maintaining your architectural features and gives you the curb appeal you deserve. Make your home great again by working with the Rhino Shield experts. A+ rated with the BBB. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
On Rumble, Ed says JB Pritzker, and the rest are bringing in illegals in the hope of replacing those leaving and then indoctrination of them, meaning the illegals, to vote Democrat or at least use them to steal votes and elections. That's his argument there. The illegals aren't allowed to vote, at least until they pass something. But their kids will be.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
That's the long plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think they're kind of employing an almost sort of China style model of long term thinking. It's weird. Liberals don't seem to be able to have enough long-term thinking to see that the policies that they're implementing now will have long-term consequences that are really bad and actually have detriment to the people they're trying to help. But somehow they have this long-term thinking on strategy for replacing the voters that they seem to be losing in various demographics.
Oh man, it's all about power.
Yep.
All right, you got just a couple minutes left here. I saw another one of the lists from the internet, guys.
Okay,
this
I
one's
love
off
those.
of Reddit.
Yes.
Random signs to know that you're old.
Okay, so not just the fact that I can hurt myself putting on my shirt.
No, and that's I'm sure that's on there. But
okay,
you eat Tums like candy.
I haven't gotten there yet, but maybe I should.
Okay, this one this would have hurt me about a year ago, but I've stopped doing it.
Okay,
you still print up your boarding pass just in case. I don't do that anymore.
I feel
but
attacked.
I was I was that guy.
I was that guy for a while.
I was that guy. Actually,
Yeah.
I did actually have a thing where I had to print it one of my last trips, but it wasn't like because I have to just in case.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This one kind of hurts too. You snap your fingers when you're trying to remember something.
Mm-hmm. No, when's the last time I?
And then it's like when I read that, I'm like, I just remembered my grandpa all of a sudden.
No, I don't do that, thankfully.
Okay, how about this? You can't stand or sit without making some sort of noise.
That's true.
That one actually kind of
Yeah.
stung me a little bit.
Yeah.
I actually tease my wife. I'm like, you're doing that thing where you'll laugh, and then at the end you'll go, so when she does, I'm like, you just did it.
You did it.
You did it again. Let's see here. You judge parents if their kid isn't wearing a jacket.
Don't they know how cold it is right now?
Yes, that's what it is right there. This one is kind of rough. You watch the local news every night?
Nope.
No, 'cause I don't think very many people do that anymore.
Mhm.
Let's see here. You start conversation with strangers in public?
No, I hate people.
Yeah. You've recently said, how do you work this dang thing?
Okay, well, yeah.
Or you say, does that ring a bell?
When you go shopping, you may not get the bargain you want, but at least you know and can compare prices. It should be that way with healthcare, but too often it's not. Need an operation on your knee? Want to know what it's going to cost? Good luck. For 3 years, hospitals have been required to provide patients with list prices and have negotiated charges for some 300 services. Only 36%, just over a third, are fully compliant. In Missouri, prices differ greatly depending on a patient's insurance. The cost of a pelvic CT scan, for example, can be 20 times more expensive in one hospital than another. Price transparency allows patients to compare providers, forces hospitals to compete on price, and helps insurers negotiate lower rates. State law should require all healthcare providers to publish prices in a user-friendly form. What we don't know is costing us. The price of healthcare shouldn't be a secret. Check out our 2024 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward at ShowMeInstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
It's no longer a question of if something is coming. It's when. The only shock will be the what. Your gut, the feeling you've had that something ominous is on the way. It's likely true. But what are you going to do about it now while you still have some control? Your first step is going to mypatriotsupply.com. After that, your next step is stocking up on multiple one-week emergency food supplies. Priced at under $50 each, there's no better time to buy in bulk. My Patriot Supply is equipped to help you prepare. As the original Patriot Company, we've helped over 2 million families ready themselves. These one-week kits with ready-hour foods provide over 2,000 calories every day. Plus, they're sealed inside a rugged ammo can, so they last up to 25 years in storage. Just grab it and go when a crisis hits. Get these kits for under $50 this week only at mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Another inflation report out this morning, this one focusing on prices at the wholesale level. The producer price index up 0.2% from February to March, although prices rose 2.1% from a year earlier. Election integrity will take center stage this week as House Speaker Mike Johnson and former President Trump hold a joint news conference at Mar-a-Lago.
The two have long had amicable relations. Johnson supportive of Trump's effort to challenge certification of the 2020 election and has endorsed his bid for re-election. The joint appearance also comes at a time when Johnson can benefit from a strong show of support from the former president. He's been facing the threat of being ousted as speaker, an effort being led by fellow Trump supporter Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Bob Agnew reporting.
After recently cementing another 6-year term in office, Russian President Vladimir Putin is stepping up a crackdown on dissent.
Russian authorities have put more Kremlin critics on a wanted list as its crackdown against dissent reaches unprecedented levels. Independent Russian news outlet Media Zona reported on Tuesday that it found women's rights activist Daria Sarenko and prominent journalist and author Mikhail Zygar in the Interior Ministry's database of individuals wanted on criminal charges. They both long left Russia. Hundreds of opposition activists, independent journalists and government critics now face criminal charges over protests and remarks condemning the war in Ukraine. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
There's a lot of cleanup to be done across the New Orleans metro area following powerful storms. Elsewhere, one person was killed in Mississippi. And now forecasters say that parts of Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia could be in for some rough weather today. Wall Street Dow futures 15 points higher. The NASDAQ futures up 57 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Rain chances fade quickly through the morning, even some breaks in the clouds midday, but an isolated shower or two can't be ruled out this afternoon and this evening. Not many, though. I expect highs in the mid-60s this afternoon, and it's breezy. Some gusts in excess of 30 miles per hour. Dry tonight, skies clear out, down to 46 for the low. Friday's breezy, but otherwise fantastic. Full sunshine tomorrow, up to 67 in the afternoon. And here come the 80s this weekend, noticeably warmer. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
With Old Man Winter blowing into the heartland, let me tell you, Hanson's Tree Service is here to help. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Look them up 24/7 at hansonstree.com. Do you have any tree problems at your home or your business? Overhanging branches? Have Hanson's and the gang take them down professionally so Old Man Winter doesn't. What about organic mulch? Hanson's Tree has got that in bulk. It'll save you in price and time. Incredibly convenient. Protect all those assets you've got in the ground and have Hanson's take care of everything above the ground for you as well. Get them out to your homestead or your business right now. hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Mike Ferguson.
It's a miracle we're not in prison.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Are you kidding me?
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin God.
Wokeness is always on the move, guys. Although I think we're culturally winning some of the intellectual battle over this. I mean, we're right. It's wrong. But they're never more than a press release away, even in a tragedy, the wokesters.
Yeah, they're always on top of this stuff.
We literally have a tragedy that they're trying to clean up in Baltimore. And the woke have said, we demand changes. The bridge at the bottom of the river there, bottom of the bay.
Mm-hmm.
This needs to be part of the change.
Yes.
Because of well, what else?
the racism.
Racism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. We'll get to that here in just a second. It is 8:06 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe here. Got Stell here. It is National Pet Day.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we posted pictures of our pets on the Facebook page, Gabe's and Stell's former pup.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was big enough, so that's a doggo.
That's a doggo.
The
yeah.
little ones are
puppers.
Are puppers, but the
Right.
big ones are doggos.
Yeah,
Yes.
McDougal was a big guy. He was a Gordon setter. A lot of people look at the photo, like if they see it on our page. He's got that red Irish setter look, but he was actually a Gordon setter, and he was the wrong color.
Yeah, see, I actually thought when I first saw it, when you showed me that picture a while back, I'm like, oh, Irish setter. And I was close. That's what I thought, too. And so if you want to see our pets on this National Pet Day, just go to the Facebook page, also Twitter page as well. Hey, reply in the comments and introduce us to your pets for National Pet Day. Hashtag National Pet Day, and then, of course, tag us at News Talk STL. And you're saying, Mike, is that just a sneaky way to try to get more followers? Yes, it is.
But do the thing.
But yeah, do it. It's fun. And you can see Rosie, our cat, right there. Okay, so remember, the remains of at least 3 people who died in the bridge collapse in Maryland when that the cargo ship hit the bridge, the Francis Scott Key Bridge, collapsing it. They're still trying to find the remains. And while they're trying to stabilize the scene over a week later, we're going on 2 weeks later now.
Yeah.
Activist groups are already meeting, taking votes, and making political demands.
Of course.
Of the politicians while they're trying to get an interstate bridge rebuilt, not kill anybody else, not allow more leakage of hazardous materials, and also bring closure to the families of the people who were killed in this as well. But that's not stopping some leftist groups from demanding some changes in the name of fighting racism with the bridge tragedy.
Yep, they got to make hay while the sun's up.
So what's happening is the activists are saying that the Francis Scott Key Bridge, now that it's knocked over, must be renamed once it's rebuilt. It cannot be the Francis Scott Key Bridge anymore.
Right.
Now
Because that's not good.
Right, because now keep in mind here, Francis Scott Key, as you may or may not know, I think most people know, wrote what's now our national anthem.
Right.
You know, in 1814, he watched the defeat of the British at the Battle of Baltimore. And that's where he was, in that bay, right there by that river. That's where he watched it. Then he wrote the poem, and then later on they put the poem to like a British drinking song.
Yeah, basically.
Melody. And that's where we get the national anthem. So he wrote that after witnessing part of the Revolutionary War on there.
1812. The War of 1812.
War of 1812.
I'm sorry. Yeah, War of 1812. Well, it says here the Battle of Baltimore was 1814.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was the War of 1812.
Oh, I see.
It was our second war against the British.
Got it. Okay, so
Is that Fort McHenry, by the way? Is that?
Yep.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So not Revolutionary War. Thank you. Yeah. Good catch. So 1840. That's where the national anthem came from. Francis Scott Key wrote it. So that's where he wrote it. So they named it the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
It kind of makes the most sense out of all monuments that we have, basically.
Exactly.
And the song tie-in, "Oh, say can you see?" because he was trying to look through the smoke of the confrontation.
And so, according to NBC News, because I wanted that completely unbiased, objective reporting that only comes with NBC News, let me just read their paragraph here. A consortium of civil rights groups voted unanimously on Wednesday to petition the Maryland state government to rename the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which was destroyed by a cargo ship last month, because Key, the author of the Star-Spangled Banner, was also a slave owner.
Shut up. That's my response. Shut up. Because honestly, when I look back in the period too, people inherited slaves, and it was basically impossible to free them. Like the laws were just set up in such a way that even if you wanted to basically divest yourself of slavery, that it was basically impossible in that period.
Well, let's assume the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And let's assume that he believed in it and he wanted to continue owning other human beings. Although Francis Scott Key, it was documented that he was among those who bought into, later on, Abraham Lincoln was another proponent of this, was expatriating Black Americans,
Right.
because they'd been in America for 3-4 generations at that point,
Mm-hmm.
to Africa, to Liberia in particular. Francis
Right.
Scott Key was among those.
Right.
He was somebody who believed in separation unless there was slavery.
Mhm.
So it's not like he wasn't all in
Sure.
on the concept. He wasn't an equality mindset kind of guy.
Right.
So let's assume some of the worst elements here.
Sure, yeah.
On this. And so the argument being made is that because he had those beliefs and because he wrote in different letters and things that confirmed that he thought black people were
Lesser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And they're saying, so therefore he should not be honored. He should not be memorialized. You need to rename the bridge. And so this is the opportunity that the left and these activists are running to say, aha, the bridge is in the water. When you rebuild it, name it after somebody else. They're recommending the first Black Maryland member of the U.S. House, Perrin Mitchell, who died in 2007. And I don't know anything about Perrin Mitchell. Maybe he definitely deserves to be honored. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But the idea is you erase the honor for this person because of some things in his life that were absolutely bad. Normal at the time, but definitely bad. So what's the answer?
I think the answer is stop trying to rewrite history. Stop trying to put modern values on people who lived in a completely different time period and different society, and just move on. Just if you want to name something after, the guy they're suggesting, I think the first black mayor or governor.
For what's that?
The new name.
Former congressman.
Congressman.
Yeah.
Okay, first black congressman. Then find something to do that. Find some way to honor him. That's fine. But trying to replace every individual with whom you find some sort of moral disagreement is silly on its face, and it's destructive overall because it's an attempt to undermine our historical foundation. Some of the things that we hold dear that keep us together. I mean, you're not going to find angels in any past of any organization, whether it's a country or even a charitable organization or a movement, a solid movement. There are no angels, but there are people who made accomplishments from which we all benefit, and we need to recognize them for that.
This is the first we've got to rename this controversy I've seen in a while.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
wasn't that long ago that there was we need to rename everything. You have the Confederate
the statues coming down.
Yeah,
and all
the
that.
statues at Confederate memorials and the bases, U.S. military bases named after Confederate generals and all this kind of thing. So this is the first one in a few years that's made the national headlines. I mean, I'm sure there are local ones all over the country that do this, but they've all got the same mindset,
Right.
is that in this person's life or in their past, there's something that is absolutely would not be tolerated today.
Right.
And you kind of referenced that.
Yeah.
Well, and it reminded me that, years ago, back in 2008, for a political job I was working, I was in West Virginia for a while. And I think I was there for 3 or 4 weeks working on some stuff. Well, just about everything is named Robert Byrd.
Yeah.
This, that, or the other. Robert Byrd Federal Courthouse, Robert Byrd Street. You name it, it's
Robert
there.
Byrd Highway.
Yeah, you walk into the state capitol of West Virginia, which is gorgeous, by the way, and there's a 10, 12-foot bronze statue of Robert Byrd,
Yes.
the West Virginian of the century.
Yep.
He was literally a Klan member.
Seriously.
Literally.
Yes.
A Klan member.
By the way, what is the capital of West Virginia? Is it Charleston?
Charleston, yeah.
Charleston.
Okay.
And so he, which is an interesting, it's a neat little town. But he later on said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I regret that. I moved on from my life." But he's allowed to do that.
Sure.
But other people have been dead for a century.
Yeah. Let's continue to crucify them for all those things.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing: is that we like to think that if I lived at that time, that I would have fought the good fight and I would have been an abolitionist. I don't know, maybe I would have. I come from a very religious family. Maybe we would have been abolitionists. Although the church certainly has its sins in the history of slavery in the country as well.
But the church in America was at the forefront.
It was,
of
yeah,
abolishing slavery.
In the South, the church also was very complicit as well. So there's a mixed bag with the church along with everybody else. But when it comes to looking back and you say, Are we going to cancel anybody and everybody because they don't meet today's standards?
Right.
What do we lose by doing that? What about that argument, Gabe, where somebody says, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You couldn't expect somebody who lived in 1814 to have the 2024 sensibilities. But what does it hurt by just replacing it with somebody modern who reflects our times more today? What's the big deal?
Well, I mean, it's like I said, when we start when we start down that path, that means that all future analysis of these things needs to be dealt with the same way. So whoever you name the bridge after, now, let's say it's this first black congressman, I guess from Maryland.
Yep.
And then they find out something about him that doesn't align with the way people look at things in 2127. It's like, you know what, we need to eliminate this person because they believe, they didn't believe in aliens and they live among us now. You know what I mean? Whatever it is.
I can see Democrats doing that. I can see that.
Whatever it is. And they say, okay, we'll need to eliminate that. And we're going to name them after Zorlax, the first, Venusian to serve in Congress. So then,
I'm just marveling at what you're pulling out of thin air on this.
I am very, very creative person, but so then you lose that guy too. So in 2127 we've lost Francis Scott Key and we've lost for whoever this guy is, and their names are basically erased from the past. They're erased from our consideration, from our modern understanding of things.
But see, the Martians, who would be illegal aliens then, would approve of that. Anyway, go ahead.
No, but seriously, so you end up with the 1984 version of there is no past, there's no future, just a sort of constant now. And the constant now can be adjusted, it can be manipulated, and you don't want to go down that road because you just end up being easily manipulated by everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is people can argue, well, it's a history lesson. It's, a memorial is not always an honor of somebody. Yeah, it basically is.
Well, it is an honor.
Let's be honest, it is.
But you're honoring their contribution, not the person necessarily.
The legacy can be bigger than the person.
Yes.
So are there people who absolutely don't deserve to be honored? Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt whatsoever. But there are people where you look at and you say the legacy is bigger than the person and the skeletons in their closet.
Yeah.
Because some of the most iconic figures, even in modern history, have skeletons in the closet that we don't want to talk about because it could taint the legacy.
Oh yeah, I mean between Gandhi and MLK, it's like those guys were known as very peaceful men who made massive impacts on society around the globe. But if you start looking in their closets, not so clean.
Yeah, see, somebody just clutched their pearls. Why? Because you're not supposed to look in their closets.
Yeah.
Well, but if we go back far enough, I guess at some point you can.
I guess.
All right, let's dump some news on you here. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019 94.1 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Just recently inherited a property and you're not sure what to do with it. Maybe it needs a lot of work, but you know you need to get it sold. Reach out today. 314-417-1000. 417-1000. My name's Chad Clayman with Clayman Real Estate, where we've been buying houses directly from the seller with no middleman involved for over 90 years. We're a family business and we help simplify the sale for folks that don't want to list the house on the market and have to deal with the entire sales process. And we specialize with people that just recently inherited a house. We're very familiar with the probate process, so if that is you, please reach out and we can simplify your sale today. 314-417-1000. 314-417-1000. And we've been doing it for over 90 years. So if you have a house that you'd like to sell, whether you inherited it or it needs work, please reach out as we can make you a simple, fair cash offer. 314-417-1000. 314-417-1000.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk.
News Talk STL.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's a pretty good cover.
Guilty pleasure for you, I know.
Yeah, well, the original's
it.
really good, too. The original song on this.
Yeah, by Talk, is that the one?
Yeah, it's like one of those 1 or 2 hit wonders bands, but the bass line on this is so much fun.
Mhm.
And they kept it in this No Doubt version.
I'll be honest with you. I think this version's better than the original.
I would not argue with that.
One of those rare instances.
Rare instances. You know what else is a better cover than the original? Live and Let Die.
Oh.
Guns N' Roses is better than the Wings version.
Okay.
Yes, because
yeah,
Wings was like did not do justice to Paul McCartney. It was a terrible band.
Terrible.
Terrible.
Awful.
Terrible.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right, a couple things we're covering here. Missouri lawmakers are close to cutting off taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood, finally. Josh Hawley had an engagement with the philosophers and noted thinkers of Code Pink. He came away unimpressed with their arguments.
No kidding.
And the Cardinals gave the game away, and Stella and I and Gabe were unimpressed with one of the rookies yesterday there as well.
Oh, he had a rough day, man.
He had a terrible day. All right, 8:22 here. Let's start with Washington, D.C. Of course, there's still some follow-up to the Hur investigation. Several Republican-led U.S. House committees threatening to hold U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. And this is because the DOJ is continuing to refuse to hand over the audio recordings of the interviews of the president during the Hur investigation. And, of course, that investigation into the classified documents case, Biden version of that. Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan was on Hannity last night, says, hey, we still have a lot more questions.
He knew the facts, he disclosed it, and he kept that information, but he doesn't get charged because Robert Hur says he's a forgetful old man. So we think it's incumbent upon the Justice Department to give us all that evidence.
Okay, so over the past week or so, the Department of Justice first said, no, we're not going to hand it to you because you're just going to use it for political purposes.
Right.
And now they're saying, well, we're not going to hand it to you because doing so would set a precedent that makes it harder for us to get possible defendants to agree to interviews.
Well, it would also set a precedent that, yes, you are actually under congressional authority, you dummies.
Yeah.
You work for the administration, and the administration is under the oversight of Congress.
Right.
So behave yourself.
Yeah, give it in there. And when they say, like yesterday, I think we reported, they said, well, you're just going to use it for political purposes. Well, the answer to that is yes. The Republicans are going to use it for political purposes.
Obviously.
That is going to happen, but that doesn't change the fact that they are oversight of these departments, which is why they're called oversight committees.
Yeah. I'm surprised it hasn't been leaked, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Precisely. Well, you know, if it were a Republican president, it would have
gosh.
been leaked from day one.
Yeah.
There would have been a live stream of it somewhere.
New York Times would have had it.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the Missouri Senate finally approves a bill that would cut off taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood. Democrats filibustered that this week, and they filibustered for a total of about 11 hours.
They were big mad.
Oh, yeah, but the bill still now goes to the state house. If it passes, it's going to make Planned Parenthood ineligible for payments or any reimbursements from the state's Medicaid system.
All right.
Oh my God, they're filibustering and we're not going to get anything done this year.
I've been waiting to toss that in all morning.
There it is. There it is.
Man, we're going to have so many Tim Jones drops. Between Friday and that one, he's a master of the voices.
It is. Okay, so here's the deal. Democrats are mad because, well, they say they're mad because it's going to cut off health care for poor people in the state. They're like, well, Planned Parenthood works with low-income individuals. Okay, well, first of all, two things on that. One, there's nothing Planned Parenthood provides other than abortion that you cannot find somewhere else in your community.
Right. Sometimes within walking distance of it.
There is absolutely nothing that is being denied to anybody. Secondly, keep in mind, Planned Parenthood is one of the largest fundraisers or funders and donors of leftist campaigns in the state. I think it has more to do with that than other things. Okay, the two soon-to-be official nominees of the two major parties give reactions to a state Supreme Court ruling that upholds an Arizona pro-life law, and that law bans most abortions. And this is the law from 1864, I think it is. And it was null and void after Roe v. Wade.
Right.
Once the Dobbs decision overturned Roe v. Wade, then there was a court case in Arizona that says, well, does this law now go back into effect, and it bans abortions other than to protect the life of the mother?
Now, it was on the books, and it had never been rescinded.
Exactly. So the state Supreme Court ruled that, well, yeah, it's never been rescinded, therefore this goes on the books. I didn't even know that they had a concept of abortion in 1864 in the Civil War, but apparently this law applies there. And so the two candidates, Biden and Trump, both had reactions to it, and there's room to be disappointed, I think, all the way around.
President Biden called the Arizona Supreme Court's upholding of an 1864 abortion law extreme and dangerous, and told a White House press conference,
"Elect me. I'm in the 20th century, 21st century, not back then."
Meanwhile, Donald Trump said the Arizona law goes too far and called on state lawmakers to change it, even as he defended the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, now remember, when he says it went too far, what he's saying is that it doesn't allow enough abortions.
Yeah, I mean,
that's unfortunate.
Now, the major argument is the rape and incest one that, but I'm an abolitionist, an absolute abolitionist. I think that 1864 law is perfect.
There you go. All right. Okay, Senator Josh Hawley had, let's generously call it a conversation with some of the noted thinkers from Code Pink that happened on Capitol Hill. And, of course, they decided they were going to confront him because he is pro-Israel and anti-Hamas. Well, the senator was on Ingram Angle last night giving his impressions of his philosophical conversation at the coffee clutch known as Code Pink.
President Biden called the Arizona Supreme Court.
Click the wrong one here. And, man, I set that one up so good. I was really proud of myself on that one, too.
It was good.
All right, here's what he had to say.
These are people who can't even admit that the Uyghurs are in internment camps, concentration camps, and yet they say that Israel is a terrorist state? Give me a break.
All right, about 50 Code Pink or sympathizing Code Pink protesters were arrested Wednesday after causing a cafeteria in the building to be shut down. How did the big mob get in the freaking Capitol building?
Yeah, it's a good question because it sounds very similar to something else that happened at the Capitol, but I don't know.
They just wanted to check the lunch menu. That's all.
The lunch menu. They hear the arugula salad is very tasty.
I'm sure it was all vegan.
Yes.
All right. Okay, crime report here in St. Louis. St. Louis police investigating a business break-in that happened in South City. Looks like it happened at the Donut Drive-In on Chippewa between late Tuesday or early Wednesday morning. This is what makes this so notable. Listen, there were no donuts available at the time. Nobody was at work. So the burglars left with nothing. So they broke in and there was nothing to steal. They left completely empty-handed. Now, listen, I'm not condoning what happened. I'm going to kind of paraphrase Chris Rock here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm condoning what happened, but I am saying those are really good donuts there. So I understand.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Is
Not
I understand.
saying I do it.
Now you live in the north part
But I
of the
understand.
metro.
Yeah.
Stell, you've been to the donut drive-in on
Yes.
Chippewa.
Yes, indeed.
Are they good donuts or are they good
Yes,
donuts?
indeed they are.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to have to check this place out because I'm a donut fiend. I love donuts.
It's just up the street from Ted Drew's.
Yeah,
Okay,
just right there on Chippewa.
So I can get ice cream after?
You could
yes.
get some frozen custard.
Frozen custard.
It's an old timey drive-in. It's been there forever. It's like just a throwback. It's the real deal.
Oh,
So
man.
I'm just saying, burglars, change your ways, reevaluate your life. But I get it. That was a good choice.
Well, and the other thing too is why would there are places you shouldn't go as a burglar. One is a police station. And the other is a donut shop. Because that's where all the police are.
That's exactly right.
I'm sorry. I couldn't. The story sets itself up.
We back the blue.
We back the blue. We
All
love you guys.
right. Sports notes here. The Blues beat the Blackhawks at Enterprise Center last night. Final score there 5-2. There's no game today. The Blues are at home again tomorrow hosting Carolina. Guys, mathematically, believe it or not, the Blues are technically still in the race for a wild card spot in the playoffs.
That's wild to me.
It's still unlikely, but with 3 games left in the season, they have not been eliminated yet.
How close to 50% are they right now?
Oh, they're over 500. Well over 500.
Okay, they're well
They're going to
over.
finish
Okay,
well
sorry.
over 500.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're finishing strong.
Okay.
Boy, I remember back in the day when the Blues and the Blackhawks games were a big deal.
Those were knockdown dragouts back in the old school days, man.
I didn't hear much about last night's game.
No, well, it's because we were whooping their butts. All right. An error that allowed 2 runs, a dropped fly ball that was scored a hit but really should have been caught, and a base running mistake that cost the Cardinals 2 runs were the main reasons the Redbirds lost to the Phillies at Busch Stadium on Wednesday. It's a team sport, but all 3 of those mistakes were by Victor Scott II. Final score was 4-3.
Yeah.
Ivan Herrera, Brendan Donovan both had home runs. Today's a travel day for the Cardinals. They started a series with the Diamondbacks on Friday, and all 3 of us, well, Gabe and I were at that game. Were you at the game? You
I was not.
No, but Gabe and I were both there yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm still mad about that.
Yeah. Get your stuff together.
No kidding, rookie.
He's still fast, though.
Yeah, well, he should have been faster to get back to first base, and Bryce Harper tagged him out.
Oh, man.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Rain chances fade quickly through the morning, even some breaks in the clouds midday, but an isolated shower or 2 can't be ruled out this afternoon and this evening. Not many, though. I expect highs in the mid-60s this afternoon, and it's breezy. Some gusts in excess of 30 miles per hour. Dry tonight, skies clear out, down to 46 for the low. Friday's breezy, but otherwise fantastic. Full sunshine tomorrow, up to 67 in the afternoon. And here come the 80s this weekend, noticeably warmer. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
Breaking news. Illegal immigrants want Biden to be reelected over fear President Trump wouldn't let them in. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Donald Trump Jr. here. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but you can stop your losses by diversifying into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold now.
Message and data rates may apply.
Here's a tidbit of news that's not breaking or shocking at all. Illegal immigrants interviewed while waiting to cross into the U.S. told the Free Press they hope Biden gets reelected because Trump wouldn't let them in. Isn't that something? The illegal immigrants themselves are saying what Democrats won't say, that Biden is letting them in and will continue to let them in as long as he remains in control. And they're 100% right. The Biden administration has allowed 10 million illegals to enter our country, a historic number for all the wrong reasons. Day one, he rolled back Trump's immigration policies that were working and that kept our borders safe and secure. Should Trump be reelected, the word will go out around the world that the U.S. is no longer a doormat for the world's criminals, felons, degenerates, and freeloaders. And I can't think of a better reason to vote for Trump in November than this. Make America a country again. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Hello, Tim Jones here with Eric from Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, your diamonds are so fantastic at Newsteaders. You named the website after them, wowdiamonds.com. Tell us about Wow Diamonds.
Well, we picked that name because when people look at the diamonds, they all exclaim the same thing. Everybody says, wow. And nobody can spell Newsteaders, so we figured Wow Diamonds would definitely be good tagline, and it's very accurate. We actually introduced the lab-grown diamond to our St. Louis family, and we're the exclusive home of the trademarked Wow Diamond. It's the most perfectly cut and polished diamond you'll ever experience, and we can fit one into anyone's budget. The thing that's nice about them is they're significantly less expensive than a mined diamond, and of course the artwork is in the cutting and polishing. That's where you get the beauty in the diamond, and that's what we excel at.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road, or on the internet, wowdiamonds.com for Newsteaders. Fine jewelers.
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
Am I supposed to talk now?
You don't have to.
I like this song. By the way, tomorrow, Flashback Friday, you want to get your request in for 80s bump music. Time's running out. You need to email Stel or me, STEL or MIKE at newstalkstl.com, or send us a note on social media. Also on social media, go to our Facebook or our Twitter, just newstalkstl, and it's National Pet Day. And so Stel and I sent our pictures of our pets over to Gabe, who posted them along with a picture of Sassy, his cat.
Yep.
So the gray cat is my cat, Rachel and my cat. That's Rosie.
Yes.
Full name, Rosalita Dumbbutt Ferguson. And then Sassy is Gabe's cat. And then the pupper in there is
McDougal.
That's Stel's late great puppy.
He's a doggo, though.
Doggo, yes. The big ones are the doggos.
Big ones are doggos.
Yeah.
He was about 90, 95 pounds.
All right.
Man, that's a
100
big
pounds.
dog.
Yeah, Gordon Setters are kind of husky.
Almost a woofer.
Yes. So here's what I do. Check out our critters, and then in the comments, introduce us to your pets. Hashtag National Pet Day, and then, of course, tag newstalkstl.com. And, yes, that is a cheap way of trying to get our social media in front of your followers so that we grow our reach.
Yes.
I will tell you right now, because you're all thinking it, but that's exactly what I'm
We
doing.
are absolutely farming engagement. Please do it.
Please,
We're not
please
ashamed.
help out.
No. We're saving the game.
And by the way, when you're there, then also click the like thing on the Facebook and Rumble and everything as
Exactly.
well. Okay, we talk a lot about the deficiencies of education in America.
Yeah.
You know, deficiencies in Illinois, deficiencies in Missouri, deficiencies in St. Louis. They're everywhere. And a lot of times we focus on the indoctrination side of it.
Yeah.
Okay, we also occasionally talk about the terrible test scores, but that's usually a way for us in conservative media to bash you're spending so much time on the indoctrination. We talk about the DEI, we talk about the pro-abortion, we talk about the anti-Israel, we talk about the sexual grooming of the children, we talk about all those things. But when you look at the actual education itself, there's a survey that was just published, or at least it was just written about, that says that over half of Americans trust Google more than they trust everything they've learned in their formal education.
Yeah.
Everything.
Right. Yeah.
And I first saw that, and I was going to use it as one of those little funny segments that we do here.
Yeah, it's a little silly bit.
Little silly things so we can decompress from all the big, tough news. And I started reading in this. I went, you know what? That's actually a bigger deal than just something funny here real quick. Because what you've got here is people who are telling this survey, and you can find this at swnsdigital.com, is that they're saying what I learned in school is irrelevant to my life today. 55% of people say they rely on Google more than their formal education on average.
Yeah, and to push back just a little bit, and my friend John Michael, he's a public teacher, and he reminded me of this too, that we're not, just to be clear, we're not saying having a broad-based amount of knowledge being provided to our kids in public schools is a bad thing. It's like I'm never going to use some of the little factoids that I have accumulated over time through my education. There are certain aspects of the math that I use that I actually don't apply in my job as an engineer. But it's important. It's important as base knowledge. It's important as just sort of the broad expanse of my mind's capabilities. And I think that's important for all young people. They need to have a broad understanding of reality that includes all kinds of aspects, maybe even things that they're never going to use. But
I agree with that.
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah, and you agree as well.
We can't get the basics right.
But the thing is, right now, we're there are schools where there's like less than double digits percentage of like the seniors in the school are reading or doing math at grade level, let alone anything in the broad scheme of things. So there's some sort of failing there, and also, to be fair, not all of that is the public schools. Some of it is culture. So some of it is in that there isn't a value put on education from your family. There are people they don't care if you go to school. They don't care if you do your homework. They don't show up at parent-teacher conferences. They actually don't care if their kids get an education. They just want their kids out of their hair for 8 hours a day. So there's an aspect of culture that is involved in some of these failures as well. But that isn't to say, though,
but there's also a priority issue.
But there's definitely a priority issue in the school.
Right now, the public education system, K through 12,
yes,
we know it's captured by the hard left.
Yes.
But their priority is creating left-wing activist and compliant drones.
Absolutely.
They are more worried about teaching DEI and feminist theory and sexual grooming than they are educating children in even the most basic ways. And I know that you're saying, well, yeah, I know there's a lot of schools. Thank God my school doesn't do it. Yeah, your public school does it.
It does.
Yes, they do.
They do. Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of the thing, and part of the consideration of looking at even the way the system is set up. Because if we start at the end, right, the end of things where we're pushing people into college, everybody shouldn't be going to college.
Yeah.
I can.
Oh yeah.
As much as the government wants to tell you this, and you maybe your teacher and your counselor is like, oh yeah, oh, so where are you going to college? How's college going? What's college? Everybody should not go to college. And I'm saying this very, very specifically. There are certain people who need to go to college for your profession, but most people do not need to go to college to do what they're eventually going to do in life.
Only 1 out of 4 Americans has a bachelor's degree or higher in this country. All 3 of us have degrees in this room.
Right.
But 3 out of 4 of Americans don't have a college degree, and that's okay because, like you said, a whole lot of the workforce doesn't actually need it.
Right.
For instance, my wife's older son tested super high on all the standardized tests. All the colleges were after him. He's like, education's crap right now. I'm going to learn trades.
Yep.
He's 19 years old. He just bought a house.
Yeah.
He literally just bought a house.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the number one tool for building wealth in America?
Homeownership.
Homeownership.
Yep.
He is about 15 years ahead of his peers.
Yes.
As far as success right now goes. But this poll, which was conducted by OnePoll, it was commissioned by the banking app and organization Chime, said that about a third of Americans say they learned nothing at all about, just for one category, personal finances during their formal education.
Right.
So
Now, I do think some schools are trying to adjust that by having a required personal finance classes and things like that. But other than that, that's definitely a major problem.
Well, and here's the thing is that when I looked at this, I mean, for instance, they'll say, yeah, I know what mitochondria is, and I don't know what a W4 is.
Right.
Okay, so I get that, but I think it's a bigger picture here is that we don't teach young people, first of all, how to critically think.
Right.
But we also don't teach a wide base of knowledge that can be applied in other areas. I'm not saying you need to know how to do a tax return when you graduate from high school, but you do need to know how to write. My wife is a university professor, and she is pleasantly surprised when a college freshman knows how to write correctly, even basic sentences and paragraph structure.
Oh my
That's how bad the public education is. But you know what? They do know coming into college, which racial groups are underrepresented, which sexual groups are underrepresented. They certainly have strong opinions on abortion and gender identity.
Oh, yeah.
And that's part of the problem.
And Taylor Swift's last top 10 songs.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's always going to be the case.
Yeah, so we average asking Google stuff like 5 times a day. Every single person in America, we trust Google for facts and information more than public education on this.
That's rough.
Tom, you got some Tony. Tony, you got some thoughts on this? You're on News Talk STL. What do you think?
So I didn't grow up in Missouri. I grew up in a different state. But I went to a very good school, like high-performing school. I graduated with a 1.9 GPA.
Oof.
And yes. And
easy, Gabe. Holy, you just got judged by the rocket scientist.
No, particularly in high school, a lot of it was my fault, but a lot of it too was my family didn't put an emphasis on education. Like once I got older, I took a few years off. I was in the military, and I didn't start going to college till the end of my military career. And I have a 3.9 GPA in college.
Attaboy.
Just because the emphasis, the emphasis on education was there.
You know, it's funny you say that.
I think you're 100% correct on that, Gabe.
My wife actually tells me that her best students, and she teaches like business ethics and things like that, are the non-traditional students who have worked or specifically been in the military and then came back to college. She said that's when they're ready for that.
I was going to ask about that. How much did Boot change your mind on education?
Well, it's more that you realize the importance of it, and you're a little bit more mature, and you can actually have the discipline to apply yourself.
Yep.
Precisely.
Yep, that's it.
Hey, Tony. Hey, man, thanks so much for sharing that story. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Tony.
Absolutely.
And thanks for your service.
Yeah, he's tough, so he can withstand your judging.
Hey,
emotional wounds you just
that was an automatic reaction.
No, but Rachel says that too. All right, real quick here. We do have a new sponsor. I should probably real quick. Sorry, Stell. Let me get this in here. Just want to not go too hard on all of this because we do want to make room for welcoming our new sponsor here.
Okay.
Why spend 4 years at college and you can get a complete education at your own pace at Google University?
Why do men have nipples?
Does farting burn calories?
At Google University, you're hands-on and interactive.
Do penguins have knees?
No sitting for hours listening to lectures or reading books.
Why do we yawn?
At Google you'll embrace curiosity and answer life's real questions.
Why don't we pronounce 11 1-1?
From quantum physics to cat memes.
Don't you hate it when a sentence doesn't end the way you think it octopus?
Google University.
Am I pregnant?
Are aliens real? When will I die?
It's free and just a click away.
314-912-1019. Let's go ahead and get those requests in for a Flashback Friday tomorrow. Great 80s music. What do you want to hear? And, of course, it's National Pet Day. So check out Facebook and Twitter if you want to see Gabe's pet and my pet and Stell's pets as well. All right, a little bit more here. Gabe Pfeiffer, Stel Montigas, me. Got Vic Porcelli coming your way in about 10 minutes here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
There's the 8th strikeout for Lynn. The Cardinals host the Brewers the weekend of April 19th through the 21st. Join us at the ballpark on Saturday, April 20th, when 25,000 fans 16 and older will take home their very own Cardinals full zip jacket courtesy of Mercy. This exclusive Navy jacket sports the STL logo on the chest and it has many elevated features. That's Saturday, April 20th. For tickets and more information, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Lance Lynn, the St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Elevate your headwear game at the ballpark on Sunday, April 21st with the Cardinals and the Brewers. That day, 25,000 fans entering with a ticket will receive a custom Cardinals bird hat thanks to Bally Sports. Chip and I had fun wearing a very similar hat during some 2023 broadcasts, and now it's your turn. Following the game, kids 15 and younger can participate in the High Chew Kids Run the Bases. That's Sunday, April 21st. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
So the left says Donald Trump's a terrible person. He was a terrible president. Well, Dr. Sheldon Roth thinks Donald Trump is just fine. We'll talk to Dr. Roth Thursday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL. Always be clear where you get your conservative talk.
Soros Fund Management is positioned to become the biggest shareholder of Odyssey, the nation's second largest radio company.
St. Louis's trusted source.
And #1 for live and local conservative talk.
This is News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Rob Carter. Join me weeknights at 8 p.m. as I challenge our politicians, expose the political press, and analyze pop culture. It's the Rob Carter Show, weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. here on News Talk STL. Now let's get back to the best men's league over 40 backstop in St. Louis, Mike Ferguson in the morning.
One little factoid on that story, about 55% of Americans trust Google more than their education.
Yeah.
81% of people who took that survey, and it was like 2,000 people, so it was a decent sample.
Yeah.
81% of people say they would be willing to take an adulting crash course on things like managing their money, doing their own taxes, and home buying and mortgages. I found that fascinating as well.
Maybe I should make a business out of that.
There you go. Well, first of all, managing your money, buy a Dave Ramsey book. Doing your own taxes, don't.
Get somebody else to do it.
Pay a professional to do it. Pay a pro to do that. Home buying and mortgages, obviously I would say call Rodney and Jen Wallner, because they will talk you through the entire process. But things like that, there probably are, I don't know, community colleges or whatever, although the wokeness has taken over those too. We found that out with Rachel's younger son who went to one of the local community colleges, and he's like, I thought that stuff was only at the four-year universities, and now, it's apparently there. He had some really crazy stories just from here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
But I think that those kind of things where people are saying, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I don't expect your high school to teach how to do taxes.
Right.
I don't expect, but what about at the high school level? Could basic coding be there?
As an elective.
Right.
Well, and I think part of the question that we're having here is that we're talking the difference between mandatory things and available things and all this in between.
We're talking about priorities.
Yeah,
too.
It's a priority thing, and I think a lot of the things that we've made mandatory probably should have been electives. They probably should, things that you can opt into, and then of course there's the idea of there's no guidance towards vocation in the way our education is set up right now.
Right. I remember when I was in high school, and that was the 80s. And you were what, mid-90s?
96.
Okay, so I was supposed – I graduated a little bit early. I graduated in 89, but I was class of 90. And I remember it's like the way that VOTech, which is what we called it back then.
Yeah.
What
vocational tech?
Right.
It
was that was looked at as, well, the kids who really aren't going to make it. Let's let them do the VOTech.
That's where the dumb kids go.
Yeah,
that's the way it was treated.
Well, those are the kids who don't have student loan debt and are making probably more than the rest of us right now.
Yes,
because they may be an auto mechanic making $45 an hour at this point, or they're a plumber making $75,000 or $80,000 or $100,000. I mean, so that's the way the mindset was then. Obviously, I haven't been in high school since 1989,
right?
So I don't know what the thought is, but it was this antiquated thinking even back then, and that's what I thought, because it wasn't that they came out and said that the trades are bad or dumber or whatever. It was just that may be better for him, but you're going to go to college, and this is that kind of thing, which I did, but that's the thinking of only one, this one track thinking. And that's the problem. One of the problems with K through 12 education, you're going to take kids, group them by location, group them by age, put them all through generally the same education, whether it fits their needs or not. Not to mention that the quality of education is so bad in this country as it is right now.
Right. Yeah. So now me as basically a self-starter, I kind of knew what I wanted to do from elementary school, essentially. So I kind of took the initiative to make sure that the track that I was following through my schooling was leading me to where I wanted to go. But you would think that there are other people who may not know what they want to do, who may have some ideas about where their vocational capabilities might be, but they have no guidance. They certainly don't have guidance at home as much as they used to. And because vocations are so different now,
right?
It's almost impossible for a parent to say, "Well, here's what you should do," and then that's the old way of thinking, Mom and Dad. I don't know what to do now.
There aren't that many trades that aren't to some degree technical now.
Yes,
as it is.
Yeah,
I mean that's just the way things have changed.
Sure, you're still using a computer as an auto mechanic,
but when you when you look at something like this, to say 55% of Americans say, I trust my current Google search more than I trust my actual formal education. And people were answering that question knowing exactly what that question meant from the way that it was written.
Right.
So they're saying I didn't get anything useful, but we do know, and we harp on this all the time, that you've got schools going out of their way to hide left-wing propaganda in their curriculum, in their classes, in their teacher training, all of these sort of things. And so how can we be surprised that over the years, half of Americans say in the real world, you get away from the ideological debates, get away from the left-right thing, get away from all that. How can we be surprised that over generations, when the public schools have been captured by the left ideologically, how can we be surprised that half of Americans say, I don't rely on what I learned there, it was useless?
Yeah. I mean, now look, I don't presume to be an expert in education and how the system should be. All I know is what the products of these educational systems are putting out into the world, because we see it every day. And I know that their focus on indoctrination, their focus on turning everybody into an activist, has distracted them from maybe making the changes in education that we should have seen decades ago.
Because you're attracting activists to be administrators and teachers as well. We've got to expand school choice across this country, especially in Missouri and in Illinois. It's the only way we're going to give kids a fighting chance at, well, anything.
The wait is over. Capriati's is now open. Taste extraordinary with our one-of-a-kind sandwiches, like our award-winning Bobby with hand-pulled butterball turkey and stuffing, our roast beef with hand-sliced American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, or our crowd-favorite classic cheesesteaks with your choice of grilled steak or chicken. No matter which you choose, you'll always get Capriati's high-quality ingredients. Capriati's. Eat extraordinary. Order now at capriatis.com or on the app.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Man, what a great party you're throwing here. This wasp nest is great.
Yeah, man, we got about 70 wasps in here.
Too bad we can't fit any more wasps in here. It looks like they're having fun outside, stinging all the kids. Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Want to be a real-life superhero